How are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. When is the perfect time to sleep with a guy? Some people say 60 days, some people say 90 days. But what if you see a guy every single day for 60 days? Did you wait too long? What if you only see him twice in 90 days? Is that still okay? See, all of these different variations can essentially guarantee that you mess it up. But if you just knew exactly what events to look for, then we could create a strategy for you that would guarantee you don't mess it up. If you want to learn what that strategy is, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing the complete sex timeline so that men fall in love with you. That way, you know exactly what to give or not give to ensure that you end up only sleeping with the perfect man for you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. So good to see you all and spend this amazing time with you. How are all of you beautiful people doing here today? I'm going to move my board along just a little bit. All right. Are you guys here? Happy to be here on this Monday. Who we got up in the TikTok chat? We got Chastity here, Danielle here, Baby Doll here, Gold Plants here, Pink is here, Sleazia is here, Sexy Red is here, okay. Dejana is here, Bree is here. I think I said Baby Doll already. Welcome all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. And of course, we have our moderators, Cerise, SH, and Scotty up in here. Who we got up in our YouTube chat? Because you know we stream it in two places at once. I see we have LP Baby here and ready to go. We got Cecilia here. Mary Kim is here. Irina is here. Class is here. Jode is here. Coach Crystal is here. Antonia is here. One of our channel members, Great Fortune Cookie, is here. I seen one of our amazing and on-time channel members, Tracy Now, is here earlier. I seen Ivy, one of our amazing and loyal channel members, here earlier as well. And of course, we have our principal, Missy America, holding down our YouTube chat. Let's get this thing started today, chat. I see a lot of you are excited for today's topic because we're really going to be breaking this down. You know, we've talked about pacing before in relationships and with men, but I really want to go through with you step by step. Now, we're going to get a little bit graphic here, okay? So please be prepared for the detail in which we're going to go through here, because I'm actually, as we're going through this timeline, I'm going to break down the format in which we're going to kind of do this. I'm going to break down the events that are most important for you to be looking for each step of the way. And then I'm also going to be breaking down some easy traps you'll fall into at that point in time, and some things that you should be thinking about, and a couple of tips and tricks along the way. I'm also going to be breaking down exactly what is allowed and not allowed. Okay, you're in for quite a show here of education. All right, so we're going to start off here with our first part, which is going to be our 1 to 2 months. Okay, so I know that we're going to be doing this timeline in chronological order, or I guess we could say in numerical order, right? So we're going to be going by months and stages and days in that sense. But I don't want you to actually be thinking about this timeline in a sense of how many days have passed, because you're going to notice we're going to be not just talking about days, we're going to be talking about events, okay? So I'm going to split our chart up like this. Don't worry, we're going to get to something very important, all right? At the top here, we're going to put down events, all right? And what I want us to start off with when it comes to the first and second month here is some of the things that I want you to be looking out for. So let's start off with number 1. You need a full, some of you ain't going to like this already, background on the X. Okay, let me even put the X up here. Now, why do you need a full background? Excuse me, why do you need a full background on the X? And why are we doing this right away so fast before we ever do anything else? Because this is one of the most important parts of understanding if you're even dating someone that is available emotionally and spiritually, that you can even successfully have a serious long-term relationship with this man. We're always in the Players Club here, we're trying to avoid you wasting your time. See, we don't want to live how you've been living, where you've been allowing yourself to just go by your enjoyment. You go out on a date and all you're thinking about is enjoying yourself. And then in the process of enjoying yourself, you sleep with this guy and then afterwards you realize, ooh, maybe he wasn't the guy I should have slept with. But I didn't think about that until after I slept with him, or I didn't go about uncovering a lot of this information until afterwards. So why am I talking about the full background on the ex? Because even if you meet a guy on Bumble, Hinge, you meet him at the club, bar, restaurant, a party, an event, through a mutual friend, you can never make an assumption that someone is actually ready and has the openness and is actually single enough to date you unless you can actually verify that. Okay? No matter where you meet this guy, no matter how you meet him, never assume he's actually ready to be in a serious relationship until you can confirm that through your own understanding and the information that you gather. Okay? So what are we talking about when it comes to the background on the ex? What information are you actually gathering? One, you're gathering the full story. Okay? Full story. I'm damn near spitting, okay? Because this is so important. The full story of exactly what transpired, how it transpired, and where they stand now. You need to know what this ex is in their life, what they were in their life, and how it all exists now. Is it all tidied and wrapped up and neat and put away and he's moved forward? Or is there some sort of ongoing situation where they're in a friend group, or she works at the same job as him, or they have to be around each other because of some family situation, that's his baby mother, whatever the case may be, you need to have this information, this coming from him. Okay, don't worry, we're gonna get you other pieces of information, but first off, we need to get that background on the ex coming directly from him, okay? Now, the next thing that you need to understand about him, okay? The next event, super important, right? The life story. What has he been through from childhood to, being a teenager to now? Now, obviously, you're probably thinking to yourself, Tomisin, this is going to take a lot of conversation. This is going to take a lot of time to understand. He's not just going to be able to tell me this in the first couple of dates or on the first date. Exactly. It's going to take some time for you to gather this info. But on the bright side, it's going to leave you with a lot of questions to ask. So for some of you that are thinking to yourself, when I go on dates, I don't know what to talk about, so that's why we just jump on top of each other because I don't know what to say anymore, and then it gets dead and I don't know how to lead the conversation with a bunch of questions. Now you have a lot of questions when you have a lot of information that you're trying to uncover. What are you trying to do here, though, by uncovering this life story and this information? What you never forget, like you're never forgetting that people aren't necessarily single or ready to date just because you meet them on a dating app or wherever. You also don't ever assume that the person you're meeting is actually the person you're meeting. I'm not trying to turn you into a pessimist that only believes that people are capable of bad things. However, I am trying to protect you and protect you against dangerous men, but also protect you against giving yourself to men who you don't actually know yet. And building this life story is part of your understanding of who he really is. Now, you're going to confirm this life story later on. Don't worry, we have lots of time together. But we want to get this first little bit of who he is from him to see if you can corroborate that story later on, okay? Right? So you're getting from birth up until now. What has he been through? Where has he lived? What has his life been like when he was growing up, right? Obviously, you're not going to know every single detail down to every, the last day, but you want to get a gist of an understanding of what he's been through in his life story. So obviously, you're going to have to be asking a lot of questions to get a better understanding of that, all right? Now, let's hop into our other point, right? Career. We'll even say, so I don't even want to say goals yet, because we're going to get to that kind of in another point. I want us to talk about this, right? Career path. Let's just be so for real here, okay? Let's not beat around the bush. A man who has resources and money is important to you. Part of a man's duty is to protect and provide, emphasis on the P, capital P, all right? So in order for him to be able to do that successfully, he has to have some sort of path forward to get money, whether it be a business, whether it be whatever he wants to do, go to the MBA, whether he wants to, I don't know, work a 9-to-5 corporate job, however he wants to get there. You need to have an understanding what is his current career path, like what is he doing now in his career as it currently stands, and where does he want to go in the future? Now, we're going to get to that in a little bit of a separate point, but this, in terms of career, is something you want to have a crystal clear understanding of. These first 2 months are going to be jam-packed with information, okay, right? Career path. Now, I also talked to you a little bit earlier. Life goals, right? Obviously, this is going to kind of a little bit be related to the career path and understanding what that is and what he wants for his own life, right? So this, in a more broad sense, you need to know what are his desires for his own life. For example, you might meet a guy and he might tell you, oh, I really want to live in Miami. I want to raise my children in Miami. I want to live in a penthouse. I want to be able to have access to the city. I want to live in a warm weather climate. And you're thinking to yourself, I've always wanted to live in the country somewhere. I've always wanted to live on a nice big farm, okay? These are the type of things you have to get an understanding of. Because when it comes to actually the logistics of a relationship, you might make the mistake of sleeping with a guy and then afterwards realizing that he wants something for his own life that's completely different than what you want for your life, in which case you've just wasted a body. So what's the point here? So getting an understanding of this early is very important. Not just life goals of, oh, do you want to be working a better job in 5 years? Cool. Yeah, some guys will tell you that, and that's fine. But also, what are his life goals for himself? Where does he envision himself living? How does he envision himself living in that place, right? Does he want to live in a mansion? Does he want to live on a farm? Does he want to live in an apartment, right? All of these things might seem unimportant to you at the beginning because you're thinking just about, I just want to have fun here. But these are the logistical parts of a relationship that will guarantee you will waste away a body if you don't get an understanding or go through these events first before we ever get to the other stuff, or the fun stuff, as you might like to think about it. So let's go to what is allowed and what is not allowed. Okay, now obviously, I'm not your daddy. At least I would assume some of you, most of you, don't consider me to be your daddy. Maybe some of you do. Now, in this scenario where we're talking about what's allowed, I'm trying to get you to a place where you can be sure, okay, at this point, these can be the things that I am willing to do, but these are my limits. And have a clear understanding that, okay, if I stick to this plan and this strategy, I'll guarantee myself success regardless of the outcome. When I say regardless of the outcome, what I mean is regardless of whether we end up in a relationship or he ends up not being the guy that I'm thinking that I actually need in my life, or ends up being a serious guy, I still win. Okay, that's what I'm trying to set up for you. All right. So allowed. Obviously, we're adults here, so I'm not even going to mess around here. You're allowed to kiss him within this first few months, all right? Please, okay? We're going to be very specific throughout this show, so there is no confusion at all, okay? So when I say something, don't assume it's this with addition to something else. Don't worry, when I add additions, I will tell you that. So when I say kiss him, I didn't say tongue kiss him. I didn't say make out with him, that's going to come later. Okay? I didn't say anything else but kiss him on the lips. That's it. I know some of you are like, Tomisin, this is so childish. This is, this is such basic stuff. Are you really telling me within the first 2 months I can't? Yes. We have a strategy here. We're trying to simplify it for you so you can't make any mistakes here. And we want you to come out successful regardless of the outcome. Kiss is allowed, right? You're going to feel like a child when I say this. You can hug him also. All right? You guys can have a nice warm hug. You can feel on his body. You can press your yitties against him, however you guys want to do it. You're clothed though. You're in public though. And, this is not going on in any sort of way where people can't see you. All right? So kiss and hug. Now, what else are you allowed to do? Absolutely nothing. So no sex, right? No sex, no privacy, right? No house. I guess we can say call. Nothing. None of that. Okay? No sex in any way, shape, or form. I told you I'm going to get detailed. So if I mean no sex, but you can do blah, 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 I would say that. When I say no sex, let me be very specific. I mean no sex, no oral sex, no butt stuff, no fingers, no groping, no touching over the clothes, no nothing. Okay? I also put the caveat. There are no house calls and no privacy. So what does that mean? I do not even want you at this point in a place where this can possibly happen. Because obviously, unless he has some weird, public fantasy, he's less likely to be very bold with you when you guys are in public. So let's just avoid that totally by not even putting either of you in a private place. Someone said no edging in any form, right? I'm also going to kind of help you with a little bit of a trap here that you can fall into on these first couple months, okay? Because you might think to yourself, okay, no privacy, that's fine, I won't go to his house. But you're not thinking about a couple of other things. No in the car, right? This is another easy setup. I'm just telling you this as a man because I know all the tricks because I've used all the tricks. Don't allow yourself these first couple of months to be in the car alone with him, okay? Someone even asked that. Because this is another version of privacy that can allow things to escalate very easily. And if you're not prepared or anticipating how things can escalate, you can make a lot of mistakes this way, right? So no privacy in any form, whether that comes in with you guys in the car or you guys at his house, right? No house calls, obviously. Now, the other trap that is easy to fall into that we haven't even discussed on the show a lot is the movies. How many of you, tell me in the chat right now, how many of you have gone to the movies in the first 2 months of seeing a guy and then some things happened at the movies? Tell me in the chat, be honest with me. Don't lie to me. Okay? We're here to be serious and be honest. Don't lie to me. And the reason I say that is because I'm a guy, so I know the tricks. I've used the tricks. So I'm telling you, the movies is another place where you can trick yourself into thinking, oh, we're going to the movies, so no, if people are around, nothing would happen in the movies. It's a public setting. We're not at his house. But the problem is you can make the movies a private thing. It's dark, and depending on what movie you go to and how long it's been out, if it's a horrible movie and it's been out a while, you guys could literally be the only people in the theater, okay? Or you could have so much room in between the theater that you guys are in the back and nobody can really see you or see what's going on. The reason I'm saying that is because just like with the privacy and the house call or being in the car, you can easily fall victim to setting yourself up into a trap that will eventually lead to you making mistakes. And then you'll be like, Tomisin, I had a plan, I had a strategy, I had a timeline, and all of it's messed up now. Okay? So no movies, no car, and no house calls. These are easy traps. Obviously, no sex at this point, right? Don't worry, we're gonna get to that, but we're gonna gradually give things as time goes on, all right? So what I also want you to understand, we're gonna hop into number 2, but what I also want you to understand, if at any point, because this is all available on my YouTube. You guys can go up if you're watching this on TikTok and you're like, I really need to write these notes. Don't erase it yet. It's all available on my YouTube page. Just type in my name, Tomisin on YouTube. You can watch this show live there as well, okay? Because I'm live in both places. But as I go through all of these events that you should be understanding and experiencing as time goes on in this relationship with him. Look, I'm erasing so hard, my eraser is about to bust, all right? As you're going through all of these different experiences here, it's very important to understand that if at any point you don't have one of these experiences or events happen yet, of the timeline that I'm talking about and discussing, if you have not experienced that event yet, then that means you can't move on to the next step of what's allowed. So what do I mean by that? Let me break this down a little bit more for you. You'll see exactly what I mean in this point number 2. So at point number 2, we have 2 to 3 months. Okay? Now, at this point, we're going to kind of restructure our board here. And we're going to talk about these different things. So these events here are going to look like this. So first event that I want you to do here, you have to. Please, you need to meet his close friends. At this point, now we're getting into make or break territory, because around this 2 or 3 month mark is when things can start to fall apart for the men and the persona that they've been showing you all this time. See, the first 1 to 2 months, if we're thinking about the dating stage as it relates to leading up to being his girlfriend, is considered like the smaller version of a honeymoon phase, because that's the time where he can literally present himself to be anybody. And there's no way for you to corroborate anything that he's been telling you this entire time. He can literally come to you and tell you, yeah, you know, I'm actually the next in line for the heir of the English throne. I don't know if you know, I'm actually Prince Harry's second cousin twice removed. And, you know, if a couple things happen and a couple people get sick, you know, I'm up next, right? They can present any story that they want to you. And at that point, all you can do on this first 2 months, right, in our point number 1 there in the timeline, all you can do is accept that to be the truth. But you're not going to accept it as in you're not going to ask any more questions. You're going to accept it as in I need to gather more information and corroborate this story with other people before I can actually confirm that this is the truth. Okay, so what do I mean by that? When you meet the close friends, you're not just meeting them willy-nilly. Oh, you introduced me to your close friends. Da, 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 da. No, this is the time where you say, okay, now that I'm having the opportunity to talk to these close friends, I still need to be gathering information. So how do I gather information from these close friends? I have conversation with them. Now, understand something. These men that you're going to be meeting of his are prepared to give you the cookie cutter answers. You know how guys come into a date with you and they have the cookie cutter answer prepared that, oh, what are you looking for? And they always say, I'm looking for something serious, but magically they never are. His friends also have the cookie cutter answers of, oh, he talks about you so much. Oh, yeah, he's been waiting to date someone for so long. Oh, yeah, he really wants to get married and blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to that stuff, okay? What I want you to do instead is I want you to have conversations with these close friends about their own life and how they go about their life, right? And the things that they do, and if they're in a relationship or not, or how their relationships have gone well or gone poorly, because this will tell you a lot about him. When you meet these guys and you meet multiple of them, you're going to start to notice a theme, especially if they're all very alike and similar. I can guarantee you, if you meet his close guy friends and they're all cheaters who have a thing going on and another thing going on with this girl, and they like to go out and have fun and do whatever, however they want to do it, I can guarantee you he's more than likely doing the same thing. So if you're actually thinking about how to corroborate stories and know what's the truth from what is fiction, if this guy tells you how he's looking for something serious and then you meet all of his close friends and they start to treat you like one of the boys and they start telling you stories about how they've been dogging girls, just accept that he is doing the same thing, because more than likely that is the truth. All right. So that is the first part, that you need to discover an event that needs to happen. All right. Now, also what you're doing at this time, everything is going to come to fruition. All right. What do I mean? Right. Everything's going to come to fruition. I knew I missed a letter there. Confirm. I'll be too excited. All right. Now, everything is so important, right? Because everything that you ask at the very beginning in those first 1 to 2 months, everything is going to come to fruition later on. So please remember, okay, I should have even mentioned this in the first point. When you're gathering this information, don't just let it come in one ear and out the other ear. Actually put it in your memory of, okay, this is what he said about this, so that you can't be gaslit later on. Even if, and I'm not even, you're not a bad person if you have to do this. Even if you have to go out on that date, and after you finish asking him all of those questions, you go home and you write the information down. Even if you have to do that, no one has to know that you're writing it down. But if you're serious about getting this right and you need to write it down so you can remember and not be gaslit later on that he told you something different, go ahead and write it down after the date. That way you can bank this information and understand what he told you versus what you're observing. So what do I mean by confirming the ex story? Remember how I told you to ask about the ex, ask where things stand now, ask, what's going on with the situation and why did it end and all of that long story that he's going to tell you multiple times in multiple different ways. Now you're going about confirming if this is true or not. So how do you actually confirm? Are you going to go through his phone? Are you going to go through his Instagram? Are you going to check his Finsta? No. What you're going to do is you're going to sit back and allow things to play out. See, as time goes on, time is one of the best revealers of truth. And you have to be patient and understand that time will reveal to you a lot of things, whether you like it or not. So as long as you're patient and observant, you will always catch the truth one way or another. So in this sense, confirming the ex story is just about sitting back, relaxing, and allowing things to play out. He told you his ex ain't in his life anymore, right? Okay, let's see how true that is. Now, if I start noticing things or you start bringing up things like, oh, my ex called me the other day and she had a flat tire and she needed me to come do it because no one else could fix her tire. Wait a second. That's interesting. You told me when we first met that you and your ex have no contact whatsoever. Quite interesting that the person who you haven't spoken to in so long would call you when they have a flat tire. That doesn't sound like we never speak, we have no contact, we are completely done and moved on. That sounds like there's enough of a relationship there that she feels comfortable calling you. Now, obviously, you're not going to say any of that, but this is some of the things that you observe. You told me she's completely out of your life, but what you're doing now, going and fixing her tire, doesn't sound like someone who's completely out of their life, right? And I told you at the beginning, guys will sell you on any story they want. They could tell you that they're the next Prince of England, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And as it relates to the ex, you have to be confirming this as time goes on, all right? So what is the next thing that you need to be doing, right? This is going to sound a little bit weird. But right, you're going to do what we can call a job confirmation. So he told you what his career path was. Maybe he told you he was a banker. Maybe he told you he was a doctor. Maybe he told you he was a whatever, all right? You're going to be doing a confirmation that he actually does what he says he does. I know for some of you, this sounds very trivial because you're thinking to yourself, why would a man lie about his occupation? That doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women through private message, Discord message, as you guys have seen, and just through friends and through the grapevine, okay? So I'm telling you this because I know I've heard all of the horror stories. And it can be very easy to assume that what a guy is telling you at the very beginning is true because you just think to yourself, why would someone lie about this? Men, trust me. Me and you were friends. I'll be honest with you. Men lie about a lot of things. Some of them are even very trivial and stupid and pointless. You might even think to yourself, why would someone lie about something that irrelevant? Men lie about a lot of things. I have guy friends that lie, okay? They might not be my close friends, but I have guys that I would call friends, they lie. And I'll acknowledge that myself. I don't even believe them when they say a lot of things. So I'm saying this to tell you, just never assume someone is who they say they are until you confirm that. Now, does that mean you necessarily have to be going through his LinkedIn? Not necessarily, but if it gets to that point, maybe you do, okay? And what I want you to be doing is observing, like you do with the ex. I want you to be observing, are things in line that makes sense? So for example, if this guy says that he is a doctor, let's just say, and he goes out so much that he can't possibly be working doctor's hours, or he says he's a banker and his job starts at 8 a.m. every single day, but at 4 a.m. he's always out at the club or at the bar with his friends. Not really going to make a lot of sense there. And you have to start thinking to yourself, does any of what you're saying really corroborate? Because I know the life of so-and-so, a banker or a doctor or a nurse or whatever. And what you're doing, the life that you're living, or what I'm observing of you and what you say you do doesn't really align. And sometimes you'll realize that the guy was telling you he does something, telling you he lives his life a certain way, and he's living his life a completely different way. All right. I've known girls that think they're dating someone that does this thing, and then that guy's actually a part-time drug dealer, a very unsuccessful one, and he's basically broke. But he doesn't say that because he doesn't want to come across the wrong way, and he doesn't want her to know what he's actually doing with his time. So that's why I'm telling you, this is part of the things that need to happen before you ever open your, we haven't even gotten close to you opening your legs yet, all right? So job confirmation, right? Now, this is going to sound a little bit strange here, all right? All right, I know this is going to sound weird, but you're going to do a pursuit observation. Remember at the beginning, when I told you in the first 2 months, you're going to be asking him what his life goals are, his career path is, and what his goals are for the future? This is now going to come to the point where, as he told you what he wants for himself, right, and his life and his goals, you're now going to be observing, is he actually taking the necessary steps towards accomplishing those goals? Now, for example, if he says he wants to be a millionaire and he wants to do that by owning a business where he sells books, I don't know, he wants to be the next Amazon, he wants to be the next Jeff Bezos. And when you talk to him every single day, or you ask him what he's doing today or what he's doing with his free time, he's always telling you that he's playing video games. He's playing Fortnite. He's playing Call of Duty. He's playing whatever the F that the kids play nowadays. I don't play video games, so I don't know. And every time you're talking to him or observing what he's doing with his time outside of spending time with you, he's always doing something that doesn't work towards the goals that he said he had for himself. Because it's easy for men to say, I want to be a millionaire. Very, very difficult for men to actually take the steps necessary to become a millionaire. Now, some men will say, I just want an easy life. I just want to get by. I don't want anything too big. That's perfectly fine. But whatever he says he wants for himself, you should be able to observe that he's actually going for that. And he's actually taking the necessary steps forward to do that. Why? Because like we always talk about with direction, you have to confirm that men, when they say they'll do something for themselves, that they actually do it. Because this is going to be a direct mirror to you and in your relationship with him. Because if he can't stick to his own word about what he says he'll do for himself and his own life and his own success, how do you expect him to be able to transfer that and somehow do a 180 when it comes to you in the relationship, telling you he's going to do something for you or with you in the relationship and then actually sticking to his word? If he doesn't build that skill set and that muscle memory for his own life and his own career, there's no way he's going to be able to transfer that into your relationship here. So very, very important that you're observing the pursuit. All right. Now let's get to what is allowed here in month 2 to 3 and what is, instead of saying what's not allowed, we're going to talk about traps. Okay. In this one. Now, all right. So for point number 2 and for 2 to 3 months in, all right, we're obviously going to allow everything that happened previously. So the kissing and the hugging, but we're also going to add in here, right? You're also allowed to cuddle. And, okay, you have so many things that you can do here. You're also allowed to make out. And very important, I should put like a damn near asterisk on this. Light petting, all right? So when I say light petting, we're gonna get very specific. I don't want any of you confused because we're gonna reference this whole breakdown time and time again for the rest of our lifespan in the Players Club. When I say light petting, I'm specifically referring to the type of touching you would see people do in a teen drama when they're making out, okay? So think of a teen drama makeout. I didn't say a corn video makeout. I said a teen drama makeout. That's PG-13, where they're just going to be kissing each other, maybe touching the face, touching the arms a little bit, the neck. It can still be romantic, but it's not groping, okay? No groping, no heavy petting, which would be touching your yitties, touching your dump truck, touching anything below your waist, all right? Or you touching anything of his below the waist. It's a PG-13 light petting, make out, right? That you would see in a teen drama on Lifetime or something, right? Nothing that you would see in a corn movie. I want to be very specific so you're not confused. You can also cuddle, and you can also, you can also cuddle. So at this point, it's okay to have one or two, don't go crazy, house calls. But you're still keeping it in your pants, you're still keeping it cute, and nothing is gonna go crazy. If you know you have little self-control, don't even bother doing the cuddling, and don't even bother doing the house calls, okay? Right? So I should have even added in there house calls, but I have no space, right? Let's go on to the traps that will become very easy for you at this time, right? So as you're going through this 2 to 3 month process, right, is one of the traps can be I just have to say it. The drinking house call. Now, I'm saying you're allowed to go to his house at this point. You're in 2 to 3 months. But all of us are different people. Something that you have to accept about yourself is the type of person that you are. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys just a little story about me. This is not about me, but I want to help you understand how you can apply this to yourself. I used to drink a lot, right? I used to drink recreationally for fun to go out and parties. But what I found about myself is I'm an all or nothing type of person. I'm an extreme person. So when I go out and I would drink, I would want to drink to get drunk. Meaning, I don't have fun if I feel like I'm just drinking to just be a little bit tipsy. Because I want to be in that place where I'm drunk, I have the confidence, I'm able to go out, do whatever, and I can feel like Superman. So that's a very, very specific place to be. And that takes a lot of drinking. And I'm a 6'3" man. So it's going to take a lot for me to drink to be able to get to that point. And I'm always trying to keep it at that level. So what I found would happen is by the time you get close to there, it's very hard to gauge how to keep it perfect. Then I would go overboard and I would wake up the next day with a lot of regrets and feel like, damn, I was cringy. Did I say that? Did I do that? Oh, that was really nasty of me. That was weird of me. I was cringe there. I was, a little bit inappropriate there. And I found that I would be in a position where every time I would attempt to drink to the perfect state, I would always end up missing that, over drinking, and then having cringe moments that I regret. So I just decided I'm going to figure out a way to enjoy myself without any of the bad stuff. So I just cut out drinking altogether. No wine, no alcohol. I've never smoked or anything like that. So that was never an issue for me. And I found my groove to be able to go out. Took me a while. I found my groove to be able to go out, enjoy myself, have a good time, but still not have to wake up the next day and feel like, oh, damn, I was cringe there, I was cringe there, I was cringe there, right? So I say all that because for you, you have to do some self-evaluating here. And you have to accept the type of person you are. For some of you, you have so much self-control and you know how to do this well that you can go out and you can have fun and you can just be just a little bit tipsy and do your thing and not have to worry about being cringe or being, obnoxious. Okay, some of you that might be you, that's fine. For some of you, look in my eyes. Trust me, I know I've been there, right? I was once you. For some of you, when you get drunk, things get ugly. You start to become cringe, you say some cringe things, you do even cringier things, and you wake up the next day with a lot of regret. Whether you sleep with someone who you don't really find that fine, that good looking, or whether it just be you're just a very, very low vibrational or low frequency version of yourself. That's okay. Okay, we've all been through it. A lot of us have been through it. That doesn't make you a bad person. But what you need to do is you need to be self-aware enough to say to yourself, if I want to take my relationships seriously, I have to take this part of my life seriously as well. And if a guy that I'm dating, I really think could actually be the one, and I'm really seeing a lot of good things for him, one of the worst things for you to do in that scenario is to make the mistake of drinking on a house call, especially when you have all of the privacy, and making mistakes that you wake up the next day from and you feel like, damn, I undid all of the good work that I was building on this entire time. That's one of the most devastating feelings because you can't undo all of those things and all of those events. And you also can't just go out and find a different person. So when you find that person that you really like, very important you present yourself the way that you want to present yourself, that you don't end up missing the mark And then afterwards, you're trying to undo everything and things just fall apart. Okay? I'm telling you this because I've seen it happen many, many times. So if drinking is your problem, for some of you, it might be smoking. Okay? I know for some of you, tell me in the chat, which one is it for you? For some of you, drinking gets you horned up. For some of you, smoking gets you horned up. For some of you, you're just horned up overall. Okay? And whatever it is, you got to address that, right? The other thing, obviously, we've talked about it before, right? Ovulation. It's not a joke. I'm not trying to be funny. These are things that you have to look out for. Because now that we're starting to talk about these house calls, I have to be so specific because I have to prepare you for what's to come. Ovulation can also be a monster that traps you, because when you're thinking in your mind of what you plan to do, and then you have those days where you're ovulating, your mind's not in the right place. Okay, it's not your fault. You have hormones and sometimes they're raging. And when your hormones are raging, you're gonna be trying to justify a lot of actions and justify a lot of things. For some of you, that ovulation monster that you have within you, just by a simple cuddle, will take you over the moon. And now we have a lot of problems because now in your mind, you're saying, oh, well, Tomisin and his stupid, silly plans. It's just a stupid, silly show. He's not actually watching me. He's not God. God's not watching. No one's watching me. If I just, maybe I just, feel it just a little bit and I feel over his pants, it's not a problem. Oh, now he's touching me and I feel really good. And trust me, it'll go just in a snap of a finger. It'll go. And everything you are working for, similar to drinking, will just go out the window. And then afterwards, right, hopefully you get off, but after you have some post-nut clarity, you'll be like, maybe that wasn't the best decision. But we can't undo that, can we? Right? So we don't want that for you. We don't want that situation for you. We want you holding strong and avoiding temptation if that's your version of temptation. So what does that mean that you're going to have to do? You're going to have to avoid him on the days that you're ovulating, unfortunately, if that's your situation. I've talked to you guys about this before. For those of you who don't know what the Flow app is, FLO, type that in your app store. That app's not getting deleted anytime soon. Go into your app store, FLO, download that app. You put in your stats. You're going to be able to see the days that you're supposed to be getting your cycle. And you're also going to be able to see the days that your ovulation is coming up. I'm not joking. We're not having fun. This is not a slick little, no, I'm dead serious. You want to take relationships seriously? You got to factor in your hormones because your hormones are going to affect your decision making. And if you're not careful with that, you might see a guy go over to his house, start drinking, start smoking on the days that you're ovulating. You have everything working against you at that point. Okay? Don't put yourself in that situation where you're compounding all of the ways of temptation that are so strong that they have a grip on you that it's impossible for you to make a good decision there. Okay? Esther said, I'm horned up 24/7. Well, then for someone like you, we need you in a clear state all the time. If you know that you're someone, no matter what day your ovulation is happening, even if you're on your cycle or you're off it, you're always horned up, go ahead and make sure you have no ulterior mind state. Meaning, you're never going to be drinking around him, right, for a while. And you're damn sure not going to be smoking around him for a while as well. Nothing that can put you in an altered mind state, because any of those altered mind states will make it easier to say yes to things that you wouldn't regularly say yes to. And I'm dead serious about this, okay? We're talking about a sex timeline, and you're not gonna do this right if you try your best, and then you do some of these other traps, and then everything will fall apart. Trust me, everything will fall apart, and it'll happen so fast, you won't even be able to blink in time. All right, let's hop into point number 3. Okay, very important. Download the Flow app. For some of you asking, it's FLO. It looks like the one that I know, the one that I know, it's red. It's got like a little leaf on it, right? I think it's a leaf, right? And it should be titled FLO. I know there's many different apps that do essentially the same thing. Find the one that you like and download that one and use it. This is not a sponsored video. There's no link in the description or anything like that. You just gotta go find that. I really mean that. That'll help you, right? Let's go on to point number 3. This is your 3 to 4 months. Okay, so we're gonna split our chart again. We're gonna have here our events, right? So In our 3 to 4 months, this is a very interesting time. Okay, this is a very pivotal time in the relationship because this is where a lot of things will either fall apart or they'll be going so well that they continue going forever, right? So like things can really drastically change here. Excuse me. At this time, something super, super important is going to happen. You're going to have you should be experiencing your first family meeting. Okay? Now, remember what I told you earlier. If at any point, any of the things that we talk about in the events that should be happening on this timeline, if at any point you find yourself in a position where you say, I haven't yet experienced this event, but I'm on month number 3 now, or I'm on month number 5 now, and I still haven't met his friends, I still haven't met his family, then that means you're holding out on what you're allowed to do, okay? I really mean that. These events must happen, and then you say, once these events happen, now I'm allowed to do so, so, and so. If for the past point, right? If the past point came and let's say you still haven't met his friends, you still haven't met any family, you still haven't done any of the things that I've said you should be doing yet, or you haven't experienced any of those things, then you can't move on to the next step in terms of what is allowed. Because at each step, you're going to kind of up the ante on what is allowed and what you can do in the sex timeline. But if you haven't experienced that event, you can't then progress to what's allowed if you haven't completed all of the checkpoints. So like I said, even though we're talking about this in terms of numerical like order, 3 to 4 months, 90 days, however you want to think of it, you have to be thinking of it in checkpoints and experiences. Okay? So now we're talking about the family meeting. Now, obviously, 3 to 4 months for you to sit down and have a dinner with his parents will be, for some of you, a little bit too much. I'm not saying that this has to be the time where you sit down and have a dinner with his parents, okay? When I say family meeting, I just mean you need to see, like you need to visually see in real life at least one person who actually has blood relation to him, okay? An immediate family member in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying you got to sit down and have 20 million conversations with them. I'm not saying you got to add them on it. You need to see someone that has blood relation to him in his immediate family. Or if he's an orphan, someone that raised him that's close to him, that he would call family. The reason that I say this is because we still need to make sure that we're corroborating stories. And we're corroborating the fact that who he said he is who he actually is. I'm not saying you got to have a sit-down lunch with his sister, all right? I'm not saying that. But we need to make sure that you're able to confirm that, hey, the sister he's been talking about, or the mom he's been talking about, or the brother, or the whatever the case may be, they're actually real. And if they're just, especially when it's just a brother or a sister, it's a lot easier to meet one of them in passing. Because at this point, if you've been seeing each other regularly, it's not like, out of the ordinary that this person may be around at some point in some way, shape, or form. And at this point, when we're getting to 3 to 4 months, you want to be able to at least have some sort of conversation or meeting with that person to confirm that they're real. Okay? Like I said, it doesn't have to be the mother or the father, but we need to have at least one real family member that you can confirm is actually his family so that you can start confirming that what he's telling you is really real. Okay? I know for some of you are thinking, why would I be meeting his family this early? If that makes you uncomfortable, then you should definitely not be comfortable spreading your legs wide open at this point. Okay? So, we're talking about family members, right? We want to ideally have a conversation with one of these family members, but if not, it's not super big of a deal. We need to at least see them in person so that you can confirm that that person is real. Now, also, at this point, you want to be thinking about some sort of intro to your family. Same thing applies though. You don't necessarily have to, he has to meet your father and mother and for a sit-down dinner. Let me also make the caveat here. This is after. This is after you meet someone from his family. Let me also make a caveat that you're not the one trying to get him to introduce you to his family, right? The reason I'm saying this is because I know some of you are hearing this and thinking to yourself, I'm at this point in my relationship, I need to step this pedal to the metal and force him to introduce me to his family. No, no. What you're doing here is you're gauging how serious he is about this relationship. If at this point in time, he hasn't discussed in any way, shape, or form, you at least meeting one of his family members, right? Then this is very concerning now. Because now we're getting to a point where it seems like he might be trying to isolate you. We're trying to avoid putting you in a nefarious and strange situation, because guys are able to sell you on a dream if they can isolate you and not allow you to be able to corroborate any stories. What does isolation look like? You don't meet any friends, you don't meet any family, and you don't have any way of confirming that what he told you is actually the truth. Because when you meet those people, they'll have their own versions of stories and they'll have their own understanding and knowledge of him. So their understanding and knowledge of him might be drastically different than the truth. So how are you supposed to confirm that if you don't have anyone to corroborate stories with? Family is another great one. Obviously, family is going to come after a while. If you can be intro to one of these people in one way, some shape or form, that will be good. I seen someone say FaceTime. At least if you can confirm that that's actually his sister, that's better than nothing, okay? Right? I'm not going to be too hard on this because I know for some of you it's a little bit difficult and logistically it's just not super possible necessarily. But I do want you in some way, shape, or form to have some sort of meeting to corroborate that sister you said you had, that person's real. This is her name, I see her existing, okay? Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do a family dinner yet, right? Now, the other thing that is very important, and this is going to sound very strange, okay? I should have even mentioned this earlier because this was an important part and I wanted to kind of lead it up here, right? At this point, you need to have This is going to sound very weird, okay? Let me explain this to you. I know this is going to sound very strange. You need to have your first big fight. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Tomisin, why would you ever advise me to purposely fight with a man? Are you trying to imply that I should start drama in my relationship purposely to what? Make it exciting? This is very childish. I'm out of here. No, that's not what I'm saying. The reason I want you to have your first big fight is because this is such... If you don't remember anything that I say for this point here, just remember this is the biggest one. Okay? If you don't remember anything else for this point, and if you don't remember anything else for anything we talk about, the reason I say this is because it is so easy for men to present themselves a particular way and talk about what they will do for you and in this relationship and make themselves seem super perfect. At the beginning, when you're sitting in front of two dinner plates, slurping spaghetti fettuccine, and both of you are having a good time, feeling good, dressed nice, and everything's good. See, then you might think to yourself, oh, he really cares about me. He really respects me. He really wants the best for me. He's really ready to treat me so right. The first big fight is such a pivotal part of the relationship because this is your opportunity to understand, how does he really feel about you? See, one of the things that they say, there's a saying, I don't know where I had it from, but the people that will tell the truth the most are angry people, right? Drunk people and babies. Okay? So the reason I say that is because in this scenario, when people are angry, right? When they're riled up, they're really upset. Those emotions are really intense and really flowing. This is the time where a lot of people will show you their true colors and how they really feel about you. Because when they're okay with you, when they're happy with you, it's easy to filter thoughts and not tell you what they really think. It's easy to present themselves a particular way. When they're really angry and they're really upset, it's a lot harder to filter those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And a lot of times you'll hear things just blurted out in the heat of the moment that are really and honestly true, but they don't tell you that because in their regular everyday, they're filtering those thoughts out. So it's a great time and a great opportunity for you to hear and see firsthand how he really feels about you, how he's really wanting to treat you, and what he really thinks about you in this relationship. Because what you'll notice is with some men, By the time you have this first big fight, you'll realize that the way he actually treats you when he's upset with you is drastically different than the way he treats you when he is happy with you and things are going well. But the reality of it is, in a relationship, you're going to see both sides of him. You will never experience a relationship in which you only see the happy-go-lucky, caring, forgiving, honest, amazing version of him. You will also see the angry, upset, stressed out version of him throughout your relationship. So if that version of him is so ugly that you can't anticipate or foresee yourself being in a relationship with this guy for the rest of your life, knowing that you're going to experience that over and over and over again, then you've already answered your question if you're wasting your time here. Okay? Once you answer this question, hey, he gets upset, he gets angry, but the way he treats me doesn't change. He doesn't go overboard. He doesn't have any strange or weird behavior. He's punching walls, throwing things, breaking things, exhibiting some sort of behavior that I would find a danger to me, right? Once you can confirm that, okay, he has emotions, but they don't go out of hand, even when we have a heated discussion, and he can, compartmentalize and be able to talk to me even while being upset or being emotional, now I can move on with this relationship. Now I can confirm that this is actually a guy I can work with long term. On the other side of the spectrum, right? Coco said my ex had anger issues. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're dating a man and he exhibits some crazy anger issues, or when he gets triggered and he's upset, he starts punching walls, throwing things all over the place, breaking things, calling you all sorts of names, going crazy, right? Now you've just confirmed this is exactly what you're going to see for the long haul. And if you don't like that, well, then now you need to be thinking about how you're going to exit this relationship, because you can't have in your mind that you just won't ever get him angry again and you won't ever have to experience any of this. Okay? Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, Tomisin, in my scenario, this guy, he's so nice, so caring, so amazing, so awesome. He would never fight with me, argue with me. We don't even have a single disagreement. If you don't have your first big disagreement, okay? It doesn't have to be, when I say fight, I don't want you to think to yourself that he's actually throwing bows at you. I just want you to think to yourself, an actual fundamental disagreement where you have a feeling about something that you feel strongly about that may have upset you, and he has something he may feel strongly about that upset him. That way you can see what your version of conflict resolution looks like with this guy. Okay, right? This should be something substantial that actually makes you feel like, damn, I'm actually upset here. And also from his sense, or from his perspective, he should also have something, or damn, he's actually upset here, right? And you know the difference between a strong disagreement and something that isn't really a big deal, okay? You know, you're an adult. You should be a mature adult and able to differentiate the two. The reason I say this is because this needs to happen. Don't have in your mind that me and this guy will never disagree. If you're in a scenario where you're like, me and this guy, we never fight, we never have a disagreement, you actually should be concerned. Not because you're trying to create drama in your relationship, but the reality of it is, when two individuals get together that aren't family, right? That grew up in two different households with two different parents, with two different understandings of life, that are two different genders. I'm assuming most of you are heterosexual women here. Now, when you get together, it's impossible for you guys to see things the exact same way all the time. It's impossible. It's just not going to happen. You guys might agree on a lot of things. You guys might get along in a lot of places and in a lot of ways and majority of the time, but you're never going to be able to perfectly agree all the time on everything. It just doesn't work like that. And if you're agreeing all the time on everything, it's not because you actually agree all the time on everything. It's because that man is not actually expressing to you how he really feels about things. I'm gonna say that again, because I know some of you just went through your ears. If you find yourself constantly agreeing with a guy to the point where you never have a single, even minor issue, it's not because you actually don't have issues. It's because that guy is not expressing to you how he really feels about things. So you're under the assumption that everything is going well and there are no issues. But in his mind, things are happening that he doesn't agree with. He just doesn't speak on them. And he's good at hiding it and concealing it, so you think that everything is okay. For some of you, this might be a bit of a shock. But for some of you who have experienced this with guys before that randomly, because they blow up eventually and they tell you all the things they've been upset about eventually. It just doesn't happen in the moment, and then you're shell shocked when it does happen. So I say this to say this isn't actually happening how you think it's happening. Okay? It's happening because he's concealing a lot and not telling you about his true feelings towards things. Some guys will do this because they just feel like it's nicer for them to not express themselves, and they think that it'll be better if they just say nothing, because that's what they think they should be doing for you. And some guys will do this just because they don't feel like this is a comfortable and safe space to express themselves, okay? Regardless of the reason, this is not gonna work. Okay, you gotta have this first big fight, first big disagreement, right? Now, oh boy, we're gonna get to what you all have been waiting for here. What is allowed? All right, we're gonna split this up. What are you allowed to do here? Okay, I know some of you are gonna be super excited about this, but I'm nervous. Okay, first things first, oral. Now, remember, I told you, when I put something on the board that's allowed, if I don't say anything more than that, then that's all that's allowed. Okay, don't add anything to that. Oral. You can put your mouth in places, he can put his mouth in places, however you want to do this. Now, obviously, here's a caveat. Here's a caveat. Here's a caveat. I know for some of you, right, you're religious, okay? So if you're religious and this is not going to work for you in any way, shape, or form, then obviously you're not going to be doing this, okay? I'm discussing for those of you who might be religious, but you break some rules. I know who you are. And some of you who just aren't religious at all. So it's not really affecting your ability to do things or not do things. This is the boundary here, right? At this point, when you can experience these things and all the things previously, now we can get to oral. You can have some fun. Okay? I said oral. I didn't say go all the way. Okay? This is not all the way time. Now, the other thing that I'm going to add, because we're getting very specific here. So if you don't like it graphic, too bad. Okay? Fingers. Being very, very specific so you're not confused. So you can put your hand places. He can put his hand places. However you guys like to do that, right? Any hole, okay? Doesn't matter the hole. You can use your fingers and your mouth on any of the holes. He can do the same for you. Now, okay, let me even add, I'll add in here and then I'll give you the caveat, okay? Okay. Heavy petting as well. What does heavy petting mean? It's like groping, okay? So the type of things you would see in a corn movie or a corn video, right? Making out, but making out with all of the touching and all of the feeling, right? Feeling your dump truck, feeling your yitties, feeling all over the place, all right? So all of that stuff there. Now, let me give you the trap. This can be a common trap that you will encounter, obviously, when you do this, because you notice that in this one that I put here, I put oral, I put fingers, I put heavy petting, I did not put sex. Okay? Meaning, you're not doing that at this point. I know this is probably going to be a shocker for some of you because you were expecting that. So the trap can be going overboard. What does that mean? He goes down on you and he's doing such a good job with his tongue and his mouth and all that sucking and licking. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. I think I'm literally dying. And now you're saying to yourself, maybe if it slips in, it's not so bad. And you know what? This is honestly the saddest part of the whole show to me, because I know, unfortunately, I'm going to lose some of my best soldiers at this point. I've accepted that as a reality, that at this point, I'm going to lose a lot of soldiers. Not because you guys don't want to listen to me, but because I know that at this point, depending on how skilled he is, some of you will be convinced to just go all the way. And you won't be able to have the self-control to be like, no, there's more to come here, all right? I have accepted that as a reality, And I know while we cook up this plan and this strategy for you to help you succeed, some of you are going to, be feeling away in the moment, and I'm going to lose some of you. Some of you will be able to stick to this, but I know deep down in my core, this is very difficult. This takes a very, very, very disciplined type of person to say, no matter how much I'm enjoying this, no matter how great and amazing this is, no matter how in the moment I am, I will not allow myself to lose sight of the bigger, war here. Okay, this is a small battle, but there's a bigger war here. I'm really serious about this, chat, right? And this is one of the easiest traps that I know a lot of you will fall into. Okay, there's really no other trap more bigger than this. Because by the time we start getting into this territory, the guys that are good at this, that know what they're doing, will know how to they'll know how to make the vibe great. They'll know how to make you feel great. You'll have your favorite music playing in the back. You'll actually feel, trust me, I know, you'll actually feel like you're living out your music video fantasy. I know you have a music video fantasy, right? That you play in your mind when you meet new guys. And it's like a specific song that plays and a specific background and it's a specific scene that's set up for you in your mind, right? These guys are so good at getting in touch with your emotions and how you feel that they actually know how to set this up, that you feel you're actually living that scenario that was in your mind, that you never thought was possible. And at this point, when he's able to do this so well, and you feel like you're really living in that moment, I know for some of you, I will have lost you. Yeah, I will have lost you. Because the vibes are too immaculate, as the kids would say, and it'll just be so hard and difficult at this point when we're 3 to 4 months in for you to say no. I want you to say no, let's enjoy ourselves, but not enjoy ourselves too much. But I know for some of you, you won't be able to do it. So I've accepted that. Okay? I know it's a very somber thing to say and say it like that, but it's the reality. Okay, I'm not here to be unrealistic about life and about human beings. I know at this point some guys will be really good at what they're doing and they'll know how to set that vibe, and I'll lose some of you. But if you want the real timeline, my advice is to leave something on the table, okay? Because we're gonna get into our point number 4, which is gonna be where things escalate to what is hopefully a great, great, awesome point here, okay? Now, let's hop into point number 4, which is going to be, right, point number 4, our 4 to 5 months, okay? So, let's hop into it here. We got our events. And let's put down what our first event is going to be. So at this point, right, what you're going to be looking for, let's just be straight up with it, right? Right? At this point, you want him to have asked you to be your girlfriend. That's one of the events that you should be looking for at this point, right? We're well into the relationship now, all right? Especially as we get into this 5th month of you guys consistently. This is also an assumption that you guys throughout this time are consistently dating, consistently seeing each other. You've met his close friends, you've met his family, you've spent a lot of time together. At this point, there should be clear direction in your relationship, and there should be clear intention in your relationship of what is now to come. So this is an important event that should be happening, or at least very close to happening at this stage in the relationship, okay? Now, the other thing, right, as we talk about asking you to be a girlfriend, the friends and the family should know about this, okay? So assuming around this time, he's gonna actually propose to you being his girlfriend, all right? At this point in time, there should be an understanding, or you should know for yourself, that these friends that you met of his that are close friends and these family members that you met, they also know that you are now his girlfriend. I'm not saying you got to have, show them the ring that he bought you or anything like that. But what I'm saying is it's very important for everyone to be aware that this is happening. Not just some sort of, because let me let you in on something that will happen, okay? And we can even put this down as one of the traps here. One of the things that might happen here is you make the mistake of being a, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Oh, this is the best way to say this. You might end up being what we can describe as a ghost girlfriend. What is a ghost girlfriend, you might ask? A ghost girlfriend is a girlfriend in which you are the only one who knows that you're his girlfriend. And a lot of times guys will do this thing where at this point they know we're getting to a place where you're starting to get antsy about what it's going to be and how things are going to take shape. And he's also like, oh, at this point, if we continue messing with each other, it's really not going to make a lot of sense if she's not my girlfriend. So at this point, what guys will attempt to do is they'll attempt to propose to you, hey, be my girlfriend in secret. And they'll say, yeah, me and you, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, but shh, don't tell anyone about this. That don't make sense. Because the whole purpose of you being his girlfriend is that not only will he claim you when it's you and him, but he'll claim you when he goes out into the world and he meets other people and specifically, obviously, other women, and that you will do the same. There is an understanding that you are both committed to each other. So this cannot be some sort of scenario in which people don't know about this. If you're a ghost girlfriend, that none of these friends and none of these family members know that you're his girlfriend, this is going to be very problematic. Because now, how are you supposed to ensure that the commitment that's supposed to be happening is actually happening? Okay? I'm not saying he's got to tell the world and everyone that has ever known him that he is dating you. And I'm not even saying that he necessarily has to post, this is my girlfriend. But all of those close friends that you met should know and be able to confirm that you're his girlfriend. And damn sure that family should be able to know and confirm that he's your girlfriend. Any of these friends, even that might not necessarily be super close friends, but are around in the vicinity that know him and know about what's going on in his life, should be aware that you're his girlfriend, right? You shouldn't have people close in his life that know him very well that don't know that you're his girlfriend. That's very strange, okay? And at that point, you have to start asking yourself, am I a ghost girlfriend? Okay? Very, very important. Please, right? Don't fall for that trap. Now, what you've all been waiting for, whatever. Okay? What's allowed here? Yeah. The one you've been waiting for. Okay? Sex. Are you happy now? Are you happy now that you get to spread your legs wide open and get jackrabbited for 90 seconds? Is that what you've been waiting for? Okay? This is your time where you can sleep with him. Now, I know some of you are looking at this timeline and you're saying, boy, 4 to 5 months, Tomisin. You're telling me it's going to be 4 to 5 months before I can sleep with a guy. I've been sleeping with men on the very first date, and you're talking about a 4 to 5 month timeline before he ever jackrabbits himself inside of me. Absolutely. Do you want success for yourself or not? Do you want to stop wasting bodies or not? Do you want to stop waking up with regret or not? Do you want to stop looking back at your love life and it looking and sounding like a tragedy or not? Do you want to stop being the person at the table who tells a story about your relationship to your girlfriends and they're all like, damn, I feel bad for you, sis? Do you want to see success in your love life? Do you want to be the person who actually gets cherished and actually gets treated like a princess instead of going on Instagram and seeing other girls get that treatment and shedding a tear because you feel like you'll never get that treatment because you never have from any men in your life? If that's what you want, then we have to do the hard thing here. Because what we're doing simultaneously, while we're actually rewarding men for working hard for you, is we're also avoiding men who are not prepared to work hard for you so that you don't have to waste bodies on them. Okay? Because every time you waste a body on a guy and you sleep with him on that very first date because you think that's the vibe, every time you wake up with regret, wishing you hadn't done that. And every time you add one more body to the list and you're thinking to yourself, damn, I'm making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Okay? So this is how you're going to correct that. I know it's painful. I know it's a long journey, but also factor in all of the things that I talked about earlier, because think about all the things you have to, his life goals, you have to do so much confirming, you have to do so much cooperating with friends and with family, you have to have so many conversations, you have to have so much understanding, you have to go here, you have to go there, you have to have a fight, you have to have an experience, a disagreement. Like, think of all of the things I just talked to you about as events that should be happening leading up to this point and how important and pivotal they are. And just also think about the fact that obviously for the 4 to 5 months, you're not going to be seeing him every single day. So you have to be factoring that in as well. And especially when we're talking about the timeline that I want you on and how much you're going to be allowed to see him throughout this time. You're not going to be having no 12-hour dates, at least not with me. If you're talking to me and you're asking me about how you go about relationships, you ain't going on no 12-hour dates. You ain't going to be doing sleepovers for a while, at least, definitely not in those first 2 months. And you're not going to be seeing him every single day of the week. So on top of the fact that you have so much experience that you need to have with him over the course of time, you're not going to be able to experience this all at once. It'll be impossible because you're not going to be going on 12-hour dates, and you're damn sure not going to be seeing him 7 days of the week. You're going to have your own priorities in your own life as all of this is going on. Okay? Right? So it's so important to understand how to do this properly. And what I tried to set up for you is a way that you can ensure that you know exactly what you should be doing at each step of the way. That way you know exactly what your limits are. And then also what happens after that is you're able to like properly reward him for working hard for you and for progressing this relationship forward. Because you're not the one doing all of this progressing. You're also not begging or asking him for this. He's the one that's giving this to you because he wants to progress this relationship forward. And then you give him more and more access to you as he continues to progress this relationship forward, okay? Now, let's actually get to, I know some of you thought that this was the last one, right? But let's actually get to something very interesting here. I'm also going to send a caveat. So I wish I could put a warning on the screen here. Those of you who are under the age of 20, this is your time to exit the chat. Everything that we needed to talk about, we've talked about, we've covered. You don't need to be here for this point number 5. I wish I could just press a button and all the people under 20 would be gone from the chat, all right? This is not your last little talk here. This is for the people who are over 20, really over 25, but whatever. Over 20 years old, because this is more relevant to you than it really is relevant to other younger people, all right? Let's hop into our point number 5 here, which is our mature point, okay? Now, at this point, okay? At this point here, let's set up our chart and how we're gonna do this. So at this point, we're gonna obviously have what we can describe as full commitment, right? That's great. Now, what do I mean when I say full commitment? I mean like a real commitment to both of you building your relationship forward for the purpose of like being together for the long haul. I know some of you don't believe in marriage, so necessarily the goal might not be marriage, but for those of you who believe in marriage, that should be what you guys are shooting towards. I'm not saying he's got to get down on one knee and propose to you at this point, but what I'm saying is there should be an understanding that we're dating right now for the purpose of eventually getting married. So that shouldn't be something, a conversation that you guys shy away from. It doesn't necessarily have to be getting married tomorrow, but that should be conversations that you have about, you know, what you guys, how you guys are gonna parent, what you guys think about, you know, where you wanna live together, and in the future, things like that, what your timeline is on marriage and things like that. That should not be a conversation that either of you are shying away from. Now, the also should be a conversation you have had before in a smaller sense. Now, the other thing here, right, is we're going to talk about something that here that I don't think a lot of you are thinking about, right, in this level. And this is a very important part of, oops. I want to make sure I get these spelled right for the spell police. Okay. Want to make sure the spell police don't get me. Integrated. Is it graded? Yeah, graded. Right? Into his life. Now, why do I say this? And why is this an important point? The reason I say this is because at this point, not only are you his girlfriend, but you are supposed to be becoming a part of his life, meaning you're a part of his routine. When he goes, he doesn't just go to work and come back home. He goes to work and he thinks about when he's going to see you, when he's going to spend time with you, right? Whether it be you, I mean, I hope you shouldn't be living with a guy that you've only known for 5 months, right? But still, at this point, this should be an understanding of like, yeah, we talk every day, or we see each other, every week, or we spend time with each other often or on a regular basis. Now he's building a routine around you being in his life all the time, right? You guys might go to the same gym together. You guys might go to the same church together. You guys might do some things, together. Also integrating you into maybe his friend groups. You don't necessarily have to be the one girl that's hanging out with him and all his guy friends, but you should know his friends. You should be comfortable being around him and his friends, and that shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't be like isolated from his friends. The other thing as well is the same thing with the family. I'm not saying you got to be best friends with his sister or his brother, but you should know them. Like you should be able to recognize them on the street, right? You should be able to like have some sort of rapport with them, or at least have had a couple of conversations. You should also be a familiar part of his family, right? When he brings you up or he talks about you, like they should know who you're talking about. It shouldn't be like some shocker revelation that he's talking about spending time with you or doing something with you or including you in this thing that they're doing right now, all right? That shouldn't be an abnormal thing there for you to be around the family or be involved with some family things, okay? At this point, when you're actually having a lot of full commitment, all right? Now, I hope all of you who are under 20 are gone. I hope so. This is going to sound kind of weird, okay? I won't talk about any traps here because we're in the final stage. Let me write it first and then we'll talk about it. Okay. I know that in our previous point, we talked about, obviously you're going to be able to sleep with him and you're going to be able to have sex at this point. So for most of you who are younger, you're like, okay, yeah, that's the extent of it. That's the last point. So nothing for me to see her. I hope you're gone anyways. They're gone at least. But for us who are more mature, we understand that part of being in relationships, right? When you have mature people and you put them in a room together, everyone has their own thing. Okay? Everyone. I don't care who you are. Everyone has their own thing. And this is a very important thing to explore. But the reason I'm putting this here in aloud is because I want to set a little bit of a caveat for those of you who are more mature to get an understanding of. It's going to sound very weird. I'm going to say it straight up first. Then we're going to break it down in detail of what I mean. You don't want to let men slut you out who aren't fully committed to you. Pump the brakes. We're going to rewind, and then we're going to break this down. What I mean by this is, depending on what you're into, okay? You might be into a whole bunch of different things. Remember how I said some of you might say, oh, I'm religious, so I'll never sleep with a man until we're married. That's fine. That's not really for you, right? But for those of you who are like, religion is not stopping you from whether you sleep with a guy before he's your boyfriend or not. So when you get to that 3 to 4 month mark, or that 4 to 5 month mark, you're kind of teeter-tottering on whether to do it or whether to not, and what to do and how to do it. My advice to you is, at that point, I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. I'm not even saying, don't try and explore with that guy. But when we're talking about the super freaky stuff, those of you who are super freaks know what I'm talking about. I would avoid letting a guy go super freaky with you and really degrade you and slut you out, like the kids would say, until he really is actually committed to you. The reason I'm saying that is because you want to ensure that by the time you get to that point where you guys are going super freaky, and he might be doing some super freaky stuff to you, that it's a safe space, right? You guys have an understanding here. And afterwards, you can also get your, what's the word I'm looking for? You can also get your aftercare, right? But all of that is so important. Part of your aftercare is also knowing that when you're getting sledded out and degraded and all that other stuff, that you will be cared for after because that guy actually cares about you. Not that you, after doing all the super freaky stuff, will feel like, oh, I'm not really sure if this is a safe space. I'm not sure if I just got degraded by a guy who really doesn't care about me. Because afterwards, you're going to feel very weird and very strange if you feel like, damn, did I just allow a guy to degrade me that doesn't actually want to be with me for real? Did I just allow a guy to degrade me that doesn't even really, want to be my boyfriend, or is trying to avoid me, or doesn't seem to care about me the same way after he sleeps with me? The reason I'm saying this is you're going to have to build a routine here and build an understanding here. And you don't, even the first time you sleep with each other, you're not going to go super freaky the very first time. You want to warm up to these things, get an understanding here. And part of your aftercare is also feeling safe that this guy is actually serious and committed to you. That way, when you are getting sledded out, as the kids would say, or degraded or whatever it is that you're into, doing the super freaky stuff, you can feel safe knowing that this is like you're doing it with someone that is you're safe with, okay? I know for some of you who are on the less super freaky side, you don't get what I'm saying. It's okay. Maybe one day you'll understand what I mean. But some of you who are on the more freaky side, you like to explore things, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And everyone is a little bit different in what they like and what they enjoy. For some of you who are on the vanilla side, maybe you'll get with the vanilla guy. You'll never even get to the stage, and you'll always be like, Tomisin, I have no idea what you're talking about. Me and my guy, we sleep together and nothing happens. It's just a regular thing. But for some of you who like the super freaky stuff, you like to get peed on, you like stuff with feet, you like stuff, whatever it is that you're into, I'm not judging. I've seen it all. Whatever it is you're into, let's give yourself a chance to also feel safe in that place. And let's also give yourself a chance to make sure that some things are in line here before we get to that place in the relationship. Okay? Right? That's another level. And I want you to take that level, but I want you to take that level with men who actually have respect for you and actually want to be with you, not men who are just casually doing that to use you and throw you away. Because some of you will do this, and then you'll even do this on the first night with the guy you just met. And imagine I'm talking about all of this and all the things that I went through. And by the time I've already went through this, you've already damn near slept with the guy and done all the other stuff, right? So I'm saying that to say, this is a very delicate part of the relationship, and it requires a lot of building up to and a lot of trust. Okay? And honestly, this last point here is one of those if you know type of things. If you're not there mentally, spiritually, it's not your vibe, that's fine. Okay? Someone says, what does vanilla mean? Vanilla just means you're someone who you like the basics. Okay? When we're talking about sex, you like to just, you open your legs, you do missionary. That's the only type of sex okay? That's fine. If that's your vibe, I'm not judging you. I have no judgment for anyone and how they like to live their life. But I know that some of you are on the super freaky side. So I have to address those of you who are on the super freaky side, because I know the way that you'll go about relationships, and especially when we're talking about sex, there's another level to that. And so I have to address that for you guys so you know how to go about that. Because I know you're super freaks. You like to get super freaky. But we want to make sure you're super freaky with someone who shares in your super freakiness, but you can also be safe with, not just being super freaky with strangers that will then be like, yeah, okay, now I got to go to work, I got to do a bunch of stuff, and it's not with you. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, do you guys have any questions about the 5 that we just discussed here today? I know there are points, but they came in like kind of timeline version here, all right? Now, from now on, I'm going to be using this as a reference for any of you who are wondering how you should go about things, what you should be doing at what times, and what is appropriate for which stage, okay? We're gonna be referencing this for the rest of the time of the Players Club so that you guys know exactly what is okay at this time and what is not okay. If you're someone who needs that type of direction. Some of you might hear this and see this and be like, who the F is that guy telling me what I can and can't do when I'm dating guys? I'm not doing any of that stuff. That's perfectly fine too. But I do know that some of you want that level of detail so you just don't make any mistakes, okay? And this is here for you as well, all right? Okay, let's get to some of the questions that I know a lot of you guys had in today's show. And let's start off with our donations here. Oh, wow, we have a lot of donations here today. Let's start off with our first donation. This one comes from Nicole Cottom in the YouTube chat. She donates $10. She says, I feel so bad that I was so late today. First big fight. It's scary, but I need to know if he raises his voice, puts his hands on me in anger, takes it out on others or animals, etc. Great point. That part of the big fight, I really wish I could put a highlighter on one specific part, because I do think that that's one of the most important parts of dating men, is having that first big fight, because it will teach you and show you a lot about that guy. And that is what you're going to see on a regular basis. So don't have it in your mind that that first big fight is not going to be representative of the rest of the relationship. So I wholly agree with you, Nicole. Kendra also donates $10 in the YouTube chat. She says, Thompson, love your videos. Love you too. And thank you so much for the donation, Kendra. Kendra donates another $5. She says, this is for marriage. What about the F-boys we just want to keep around? Can you do a show on that? Kendra, I'm not going to do no show on how you guys can keep F-boys around, okay? I know you donated and I know you asked that question, but I'm not giving you no damn advice on how to keep F-boys around. Because if I give you that advice, you're only going to end up more sad, more upset, and more of feeling like you wasted your time. Okay? And then after that, you'll come back to me and you'll be like, Thomason, so you gave me advice on how to keep F-boys around, but now that F-boy ruined my life, what should I do? And I'll tell you, you should have never messed with the F-boy in the first place. Okay? So I'm not going to give you advice to do that. You deal with them on your own. If you want to learn how to do it the right way and get success out of relationships, then you come to me, right? Toasted Chips donates 10 SGD. I don't know what that is. But thank you so much for your donation, Toasted Chips. I appreciate you in whatever currency you donate in, all right? Love you all so much, all right? Let me see. So what questions you got? By the way, as you guys are asking your questions here, if you have a situation that you want me to answer for you, even if it's not necessarily related exactly to the timeline that we discussed today, please go to, if you're watching this on TikTok, go to my link in my bio on TikTok or in my description if you're watching this on YouTube, and click where it says private relationship advice. That's like my hotline where you can ask me a question about your relationship or your situationship, and I will respond to you. I'm guaranteed to respond to you if you use that hotline. And you can type in your message as long as you want, as many paragraphs as you want, and as much detail as you want. And I respond usually with an 8 to 10 minute, sometimes if it's really long, a 20-minute voice message, and I send it back to your email, via your email, and no one else sees it or hears it. So you have that option there if you really want to get a question into me that requires some detail, right? Someone says, when do you move in together if not married? Excuse me. My honest advice to you is I would be waiting to move in with someone for at least a year, okay? At the very, very, very least, you need 1 year, right, of knowing this person romantically before you move in together. The reason I say that, because I know we're all in different, my own way of going about this, if I was talking to my daughter, I would just say only until you get married. But I know some of you are in different situations. Some of you aren't even looking to get married, so you're in a different situation. But at the very least, if you're rushing to do it, you got to know that guy for at least a year romantically, okay? Meaning you guys have been trying to date each other for at least a year, okay? Not halfway kind of friends, and then now all of a sudden you're trying a dating thing, okay? 1 year of romantic pursuit. Then we can talk about moving in together, because at that point, you should have learned a lot about him. Okay. Someone said he's calling me now. You channeled him by watching the show. That's probably what happened. Ellie says, what was the ghost girlfriend about? The ghost girlfriend had to do, oh, by the way, those of you who are watching me on TikTok and maybe you missed a point, you can always go onto my YouTube channel, which is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen. It's Tomisin. Just type it in on YouTube. I'm live there at the same time as I'm live on TikTok, and you can rewind everything that we're discussing here in the show. So it's recorded there for you. I'm live now, but it's going to be recorded. The live is going to be recorded there in the YouTube channel. Okay. But what I was talking about when I was talking about the ghost girlfriend, to answer your question, was a girlfriend when a guy asks you to be his girlfriend, but he's just asking you to be his girlfriend because he just wants to shut you up. But he's not actually going to tell people that you're his girlfriend. It's just for the purpose of getting to the next level, right? And making you feel good about what's going on here, right? Someone says, I'm so late. I love that color on you. You guys like this? This is like a forest green. I like earthy colors. You know, that's my vibe. Oh, Naf asks a great question in the YouTube chat. She says, at what point can we go on a trip with a guy? Once again, as per my own advice, when we talked about how 3 to 4 months is when we're going to start doing the oral and all that other stuff, right? You can start doing the heavy petting. That is the same timeline in which I would advise you trips would be okay. Because at that point, see, you've already been to his house, right? And you've already been in more private settings with him. The reason I say that is trips should definitely be coming after you have some established trust with him in terms of your safety. So we definitely want to make sure that when we're talking about a trip with a guy, you've established rapport that you can be safe with him and around him if you guys are in private together. And we want to make sure that that is set in stone before you start going to a different country with a guy. I don't want any of you, I know some of you might get really hyped up and guys start talking to you about trips early on, but we got to establish rapport and trust here before we allow you to be in a foreign country where you can't call anyone and no one can hear you scream with a guy that you just met, okay? I don't care who it is. I don't care how rich he is. You got to also factor in your safety as a woman and don't put yourself in a nefarious situation for no reason. Shanita says, what if he does everything you shared but doesn't share about your relationship on social media? At what point in the relationship are you talking about? And also that requires a lot of context. Because some people are private people, and saying that a guy doesn't share his relationship on social media, but he doesn't post anything on social media, that's a little bit, you know, you're not looking at the whole picture. So that always requires context. I don't like to give blanket answers on that just based on anything, right? You said 7 months into the relationship, but what type of person is he? Is he a social media type of person? Is he someone who even posts anything about himself? If he doesn't, then you're saying someone. I watched a video. Someone was like, "Oh, make me your profile picture," right? And it was like a guy who doesn't even have any pictures of himself on his own social media, right? And also, Shanita, I want to warn you that a guy posting you on social media is not going to save your relationship. Okay, that's any of you also thinking about that. If you're thinking that a guy posting you on social media is going to be the difference between him being loyal to you and not, it's not. So rather than thinking about the posting as some sort of end goal or, sanctuary, think about it as, if I really, really need him to post me, why do I feel like that? And what information should I be uncovering or discovering if I feel like him posting me is the difference between a successful relationship and not? Because the truth of the matter is, a guy who's cheating will cheat on you whether he posts you on his Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, or not. I'm just telling you the honest truth, okay? So there's a different thing you should be looking at than that, all right? For sure when it comes to social media, because it can go either way. There's also people who post their partner a whole bunch and have horrible relationships and treat their partner horribly, okay? Jamila says, what about financial aspects? What about them, right? What about them? What about him asking to contribute more financially, especially if you make the same amount, like asking you to contribute more financially? Here's my thing, okay? Obviously, not every man is going to be a millionaire. And I know some guys you might like, maybe they just don't have millionaire capabilities, okay? I don't expect every guy you date to be Elon Musk. But there should be some sort of understanding when we're talking about finances. What does that really look like? So let me just break this down, this whole 50-50 thing down for you. Very simple, Jamila, and anyone else who's confused about this. If a guy is talking to you about 50-50 because he's not a millionaire and he needs that to make finances work, then there should be an understanding that 50-50 also means that when it comes to housework and children and everything else in life, in the relationship, that should also be 50-50. Because 50-50 isn't actually 50-50 if we're talking about both of you are splitting bills 50% down the middle, But then when it comes to washing the dishes, taking out the trash, taking care of children, doing housework, doing laundry, cooking dinner, if he starts talking about, oh, but that's your job. Oh, but you're the woman. You're supposed to be, I can't cook. I don't know how to really do laundry. You do it so much better than me. If he starts using what we call weaponized incompetence, oh, I don't know how to cook. You got to do that. I don't know how to clean. You do it so much better. I don't know how to blah, 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 blah. So I don't know how to take care of children. You're going to be so much better at mothering them and nurturing them and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now we just came to an understanding that what you thought was 50-50 is not actually 50-50, because that's more like 80-20. We're splitting the bills down the middle because we're both going to work, waking up early and working hard and bringing that money back, splitting our bills down the middle. And then I'm also doing the housework, also taking care of the children, also making sure that everything is in order for our family. So how is that 50%, 50%? That's more like 80% me, 20% you. You bring some money and then you come home and you chill. Meanwhile, I'm the one that has to do all of the rest of the work required to keep the family together and functioning. I'm not saying, if that's what he wants in terms of, you taking care of the family and things like that, that should be factored into the 50-50. So the way I always think of it, if guys are going to talk to you about 50-50 and splitting those bills down the middle, then he should also be talking about the fact that he will also take the kids to school. He will also do work around the house. He will also do his laundry and your laundry. He will also cook and clean as need be, right? You guys will perfectly split all of those responsibilities down the middle. In which case, then you can decide for yourself, okay, that makes sense. That's at the very least a logical explanation to get to that point of view, right? You say I like 50-50 because blah, 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 blah. My finances, blah, 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 right? Cool, that's good. If he can explain it to you like that and he's good with that, hey, that's something I think some of you might be able to work with, okay? But for some of you, right, maybe you might hear that and be like, I'm not splitting no bills down the middle, da 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 da. And your version of 50-50 might be him making all the money and then you're taking care of all the housework, doing a lot of the stuff with the children and making sure all of that is taken care of. He just funds it. Some families, they work that way, okay? The guy, he takes care of all that money stuff, finances, and the woman, she takes care of managing the family, and they come together and they use their skill sets in that sense, right? But you have to get an understanding of what his idea of 50-50 is. And if a guy says that, and he also says, yeah, you got to take care of all that other family stuff, don't argue with him. Just go ahead and say, perfect, thank you for letting me know, and then never speak to him again. Because you're not going to convince those guys that their way of thinking is wrong. They're always convinced that they're in belief of the right thing. So there's no point even pushing back on that once you hear that from him. D. Frosty says, been married 22 years and still only met 2 family members. D. Frosty, that's a problem. That's a problem. There is no world in which you should be married to a man for 20. They weren't at your wedding. Okay, I'm not making fun of you, but those family members weren't at your wedding. That should be at least the time you say, I met all the members of his family at my wedding. How do you even get married to the man and you don't meet the family members at your own wedding? Okay, that's problematic. And that worries me because that's a breeding ground for men to cheat. Someone asked a question earlier about posting on social media. Sometimes you guys be having your mind in the wrong place. The real way for a guy to cheat on you is not by not posting you on social media. It's by making sure none of his friends and family know you. That way nobody can corroborate a story or catch him in the act. Right? Because things start to unravel when you have a lot of people involved in a relationship that know about what's going on, right? And they meet you and they know what's going on. It becomes very difficult to manage all of the moving parts when everything is connected. When, his mom, his dad, his brother, his sister, everyone in his family knows about you and spends time with you, and also spends time with him, they notice how things are changing and shifting. They also notice, is he spending his time doing a lot of other things? Oh yeah, I have been noticing him acting strange. He usually tells me a lot of things about you and what's going on, or blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden he stopped talking to me. Or why don't I see you around as much? And Everything can unravel easily when they're all connected. When he can isolate you, it's so easy to sell you a dream. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to damper your mood, but I'm just letting you know. Okay, right? Someone says, what about a long distance relationship? Chat, class, let's be so for real. I love you all, but let's just be honest. None of this works or applies to a long distance relationship. And there's honestly nothing I can do about that. I'm not a magic worker. I'm actually a real life human being. So when I give you advice, it's based on how real life human beings interact. If you're in a situation where you're in a long distance relationship, unfortunately, that's not a breeding ground for success. Long distance is supposed to be a means to an end, meaning that if you're long distance, it should be because you're only at that point for a specific period of time and you'll eventually return back to being together again. But I fear because I know that a lot of you that are talking about long distance are not talking about it from that standpoint or perspective. You're talking about it from the standpoint of literally getting to know a man that you don't live close to and you have no intention or resources to be able to get closer to that person, right? Like you might be able to see them a couple times of the year, maybe if possible, but it's not like you're saying, oh, I'm planning on moving to their city or they're planning on moving to mine or we're going to be together again soon. A lot of you, I know you're just trying to meet the man that lives in a different country or city than you. In which case, how are you supposed to do? In 90 days, you might not even see him once. So how are we supposed to apply any of this for your long distance relationship? It's impossible. It's impossible, right? Does that make sense? They talking about people that met online. I know, and it makes me sad because all of us learn at our own time and our own pace. But my honest advice to most of you who are trying to make a long distance relationship work is don't. Because unless a guy has extreme intentionality when it comes to you and his relationship with you, it's just a waste of your time. Okay? Because what you'll realize is a lot of men will spend time chit-chatting with you over the phone for your long distance relationship. And you want to know what they're doing in their spare time when they're not asking to be with you or spend time with you? They're physically exploring a relationship with a woman who lives close to them. I just have to be real with you. Okay? I see it all the time. You know how I talked about my private questions that you guys can ask me? I get hundreds. Okay? I see it all the time. I help hundreds of women who are frustrated because they realize that it's going nowhere and this man will literally just chit chat with them endlessly. I call it endless chit chat because some guys that only want to chit chat with you long distance will chit chat with you forever with no end goal of actually seeing you in real life. Why? Because they don't need to. They just want the hit of dopamine from chit-chatting with you over the phone. But when it comes to jackrabbiting themselves inside of another human being, they're already doing that. So they're not thirsty or hungry to do that with you. They just want to chit-chat with you for the dopamine hit. And maybe for a little dirty talk that they can wank themselves off to, right? You're long distance, so you probably send him dirty pictures, right? Pictures of you with your pants at your ankles, right? Yeah. He wanks off to those. It's like his personal spank tank or spank bank, right? For himself. That's personalized for him because you do his favorite poses, you wear his favorite outfits, you do all his favorite stuff, and then he gets his own personal corn videos, and then he goes about his day after he finishes busting a nut. That's majority of your long distance relationships. I'm just going to tell you the truth. So I don't know what to tell you in that sense. Okay, this stuff that we talk about here not going to apply to you. He just busted a nut to your private personal videos. Okay, you might as well do OF. You make more money at least, right? He's probably not paying you anything. Okay, right? Someone says you like it, make a date. For sure. All right, chat. Let's hop into our next segment. Our next segment is going to be our React segment. Our React segment is where all of you send me in TikTok videos that we we react to and have conversation about. Okay, while I get prepared and ready for that, make sure we also have our Discord segment coming at the end of the show. So those of you that know about our Discord time, it's where I answer your questions about relationships and situationships live on the show. So make sure if you want to get your question answered by me and you don't mind it being on the show here, you can go ahead and drop your question into our Discord segment by going into the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description and on YouTube, and then go to where it says our Players Club Discord, and then drop your question into the relationship advice forum. All right, spam up your headphone emojis, spam up your camcorder emojis. We're gonna start up our React segment. segment. I'm going to clean up here. We're going to watch an intermission video from Stefan Speaks while I clean up, and I'm going to join you guys back in a moment. Today's video by Stefan Speaks is titled Secret Thoughts a Man Has When He's Truly Into You. Okay, I'll join you guys back in just a moment. Stefan Speaks, take it away.
Sir, again, I don't know what book this is. It reads, when a man is truly interested in you, there will be no need for you to do the pursuing. Men are born to pursue women. Yes, you can pursue a man if you want to, but in most cases, that's just an obvious sign that he's not into you. It's not natural for a man to sit back and let the woman do all of the work. For a man who claims to like you to sit back and allow you to do all of the calling, texting, dating arrangements, talks about the future, etc., it's pretty obvious where you stand in that man's life. When a man really wants you, you won't have to chase after him like he's some celebrity who barely has time for a fan. You will be his priority. Now, I don't disagree, okay? I definitely believe that when a man is truly into you, he will prioritize you. And he will be willing to pour into you. And he's not going to make you have to chase him. But the reason why I wanted to read that excerpt to you is because I feel that many women forget what the man is going through emotionally when he's into you. And what we're talking about today specifically is the secret thoughts he's having. Because in these secret thoughts, it will shed light on the deeper inner workings of a man who is in love or who is into a woman. And some of the things that's going on with him may surprise you or may cause you to realize how he becomes very fragile in this state. All right? And the littlest thing can start to throw things off with this man. So let's get right to it. And before I do, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. So number one, when he's really into you, one of those thoughts is, does she really love me? Now, granted, if you guys are not in a relationship yet, it may be too soon for him to be wondering about you loving him. But let's face it, it's still a thought. And if you are in a relationship, it's damn sure a thought. And the reason why I wanted to speak about this is because, again, I think one of the things that women overlook is how when a man is truly into a woman and is emotionally vulnerable, it can make a lot of men become insecure, or at the very least, teeter on the line of insecurity, because there's this greater concern of how you feel about him, how you view him, all these different things. He becomes much more sensitive now to the things that you have, to the things that you say and the things that you do. Some of you may have noticed, have you ever experienced a situation where you've known a man, maybe you were friends, maybe you guys were just getting to know each other, and initially he seemed very sure of himself, very confident, masculine guy, right? And let's just say in this scenario, he's a guy who can get women easily. So he never seems to be this insecure type. And if anything...
Okay, chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Stefan Speaks. I appreciate you. And let's get started with our first video. Oh, no.
Fucking dare! Don't you dare take him back! Exes, they always fucking come back, it's true. They don't come back when you're crying and missing them. They show up when you found your happiness again, when you're fucking smiling with someone new, rebuilding your life, and finally picking up the pieces they fucking shattered. That's when they show up. And it's not because they miss you, it's because they see what they lost. But let me tell you something, their timing is fucking selfish. They left for a fucking reason, and it didn't work out. For a reason. Don't let anyone walk back into your life just because it's fucking convenient for them. You've done the hard work, rebuilding, healing, and growing. You fought your way out the dark. So why would you let them pull you back in? Be fucking strong. Stand tall. Don't let anyone that didn't value you the first time stroll back into your life. You're not a fucking option. You are the whole mother fucking deal. And that is the fucking truth. Don't you...
I wonder what it's like being in a relationship with him. I wonder if he yells that much, and it's very hard for me to focus on what he's saying when he's yelling like this. It's very distracting. Let me try and re-understand.
And growing. You fought your way out the dark. So why would you let them pull you back in? Be fucking strong. Stand tall. Don't let anyone that didn't value you the first time stroll back into your life. You're not a fucking option. You are the whole mother fucking deal. And that is the fucking truth. Don't you fucking dare! Don't you dare!
I guess the point is that you shouldn't let people walk back into your life who have shown you that they are not serious. Which, and the theme of that, I agree with. I agree with that theme. I think he's a great content creator. I really do. I think his style is needed to, just be different from other people's. So I applaud him for not thinking about how to be similar to everyone else, because I just write on a whiteboard, very basic. So what he's doing is, wow, it's filled with passion.
Oh, the beauty of building a little bit of tension in these early stage communications. I mean tension with your flirting. Ladies, see, some of y'all forgot how to flirt. You need to be focused on becoming Tanika, the tension specialist up in this bitch. And some of y'all are just, come on, washed up Whitney. No, you need to be talking, instead of saying, oh, what are y'all doing? What are you doing Friday? Oh, no, what are you doing Friday? Da-da-da-da-da. Gaga. There's nothing to that. What are we doing here? No, what are you doing Friday? Well, no, it depends if somebody asks me out or not. Nice little piece of tension. Oh, he couldn't make it. He had to
I get what he's saying. Don't say that, though. Don't say it depends if someone asks me out. That sounds like you're fishing. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. But the flirting with tension, that's good. Okay. Don't say what he said. That's his example, though.
Schedule. Okay, well, you better make that up to me. That's a nice little tension build. Better. Oh, he couldn't make it. He had to reschedule. Okay, well, you better make that up to me.
I know it sounds very strange because I'm like saying, no, don't say that, say this. And I'm not God, so who am I? I'm just giving you some advice. My advice to you, though, is let a guy tell you that he wants to make things up to you. Don't ever, I know it sounds very, very restricting, but let guys you can playfully flirt, but let them take the lead with things, okay? So when he misses a date or he flops on you or whatever the case may be, let him say, I need to make this up to you, or I want to make this up to you. Then you can say, how are you going to make it up to me? And then you can have some fun with it. Because I know it sounds so silly and so dumb, but him telling you that he needs to reschedule and then you coming out and saying, you need to make it up to me, makes it seem as if you actually need him to make it up to you, as if that actually is important for you in your life, that you're telling him this before he's even said himself that he even has the desire to make it up to you. It's just when you get good at flirting in a feminine way, you'll understand how to do this. And it's not like you can't say anything or have fun, but you'll understand how to let guys come to you and then play with that instead of being the pursuer yourself, even in casual flirting conversation.
It's a nice little tension build. Now he thinks he has an obligation because
he's obviously a guy. I'm a guy too, but he's obviously a guy. So even when he's giving his examples off the top of his head, he's thinking about it from his guy perspective, which, it's hard to put yourself in a woman's shoes and really say how she would respond to you from a woman's and a feminine perspective, right? He's kind of thinking about his version of flirting, which is a little bit more, obviously it's more masculine.
He knows that, number one, you wanted to say, but two, now he actually feels like he wants to make it up to you.
Well, see, that's the thing. He didn't feel that way because you told him to feel that way. He either feels that way or he doesn't. So if he does feel that way, then you play with that. If he doesn't come out and say that, then you don't try and force that onto him. Are you following what I'm saying? If a guy asks you, hey, I got to reschedule and I want to make it up to you so badly, then you play with that. You don't tell him, hey, you need to make it up to me, and then think that you're doing something by telling him what he should be feeling or thinking. That's not flirting.
These little pieces of tension, ladies, these are little flirting tactics. They get to him. It's not making it more difficult to him. It's letting him know you're interested, but it's that. See what you did there? You inserted this little challenge for him. where the reward is that you want to be there. And the reward is that he has to make up for it.
So let me play out this scenario from how he's talking about it, but then let me kind of break down what I think would be a better, more feminine way to do it. So let's say that he misses a date with you, or he actually has to reschedule for a real reason, not just like some silly stuff. And he's like, yeah, I have to reschedule, but I promise I'll make it up to you. Now that he's come out and said that, you get to play with it and say, oh, how are you going to make it up to me with one of these like type of emojis or something like that, right? And then he says, ooh, I don't know, what do you like to eat, or where do you want to go, or what were you thinking? And then you can start saying, I don't know, what were you offering? I'll see how I feel about your offers, right? And you're never going to tell him exactly what he has to do or he shouldn't do. You're going to let him play with some ideas, and then you can say, oh, maybe he says, for example, oh, I can take you to that, little Top Golf place that you've been saying you want to go to. And then you can say, oh, well, I don't know if that's really going to make it up to me. You might have to do a little bit more than that. I don't know if Top Golf is going to be enough. It's quite late that you're rescheduling here, right? And this is how you can kind of set a little bit of a dance, where he's the one saying, well, what do I have to do? Which one is it? Tell me what you want. You want guys kind of leaning forward. Miss, please tell me what do you need to be happy? What do you want to be happy? Man, want to know how to make you, woman, happy. That's a good place to do some flirting and build some tension and play around with it. Because there, instead of just being, super straightforward and brutally honest and blunt and just saying exactly what you want, you can kind of play around with it. So he has to do a little bit of dancing and a little bit of picking and a little bit of work to get the answer from you. Because what will make you happy is the answer that he's looking for if he desires to make you happy. But you want to have a guy who desires to make you happy. It's a very like delicate emotional dance there.
Do men get like a notification as soon as you start telling your friends about them? Because why is it as soon as you go on a date or you like have a crush on someone and you start telling all your friends that they're gone, ghosted, abandoned, forever? Why are you making me look bad? Then everyone's following up. Oh, how's it going with him? He's gone, babe. Don't ask ever again. Do men get like a notification?
That's why I told you, I didn't actually mention this in our sex timeline today, but when it came to both the friends and the family, I mentioned it with the family, but not the friends. When it comes to the friends, I want you also, when he introduces you to his friends, that's when you introduce him to some of your friends. So have him do it before, then you do yours after. Same thing with the family. When he introduces you to some of his family, that's when you then do your family. If he hasn't done any of your friend, or if he hasn't done any of his friends, you don't do any of your friends. If he hasn't done any of his family, you don't do any of your family. The reason I say that is not because I don't want you to be in a serious relationship with a guy. It's because I want you to avoid overly investing yourself in men who aren't even taking you seriously. Because you might see the timeline that I set up and think to yourself, oh, I need to be introducing him to my family at this point. Then when you introduce him to your family or even your friends in this sense, like she just talked about, now you've actually put some expectations on yourself and him for this relationship. But the problem is, if he doesn't have those same expectations or standards, you're going to be quite confused and very disappointed, because now you really want this to work, right? Because you introduce him to your friends, or you really want this to work because you introduce him to your family. But if he's not in that same mind state or mind frame, you've now invested and overly invested yourself into someone who doesn't have that same level of investment into you.
It's 2025 in about 7 hours, and I'm about to change your whole perspective on dating.
Bold claim. Let's see.
I want you to picture yourself walking into a thrift store or a vintage store or a boutique, and you have been visualizing a pair of beautiful Manolo Blahniks for a years maybe even, right? And like you found some knockoffs, you found some ones that are similar.
Chat, I'm just a boy. What are Manolo Blahniks? I have quite literally no idea what she's referring to. I don't know if that's a dress. I don't know if that's heels. I don't know if that's shoes. I don't know what that is. If that's jeans, what is that? They're beautiful shoes. Okay. All right. I'm a visual learner, so let me see something here. Let me type this in TikTok. Let's see. TikTok. Let's put in another page. Manilo. How do you spell it? Blahniks? Blahnik. Sorry, I'm a visual person. I need to see what it looks like. 9 pairs of Manila
I
Blahniks.
thrifted 9.
Okay. This is Manila Blahnik's chat? Okay. 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 This kind of reminds me of the YSL Cassandra heel. You guys know that one? A little bit. It says the YSL Cassandra heel is a little bit thinner. Okay. I like that. All right. Interesting. I just like to have a visual. All right, let's get back to the video.
You found Manolo Blahniks, but they're just not the same style, color, whatever. So you walk into this store and you see them and they're like, oh my, they're right there. And you walk up and they're completely in your price range and they're perfect and they look gorgeous and you're like, oh my God. So you buy them because they're so cheap and they're exactly what you've been looking for. They're on your vision board. You're like, thank you, universe. Thank you, God. So you wear them out, you bring them out with your friends. Your friends are like, oh my gosh, these are so cute. Like, I cannot believe you found these. And you're like, I know, right? Like, I totally manifested this. You take them out and then like, you kind of start getting like little blisters on the dance floor and you're like, this kind of sucks. Well, I'm not going to brave it out because I've been wanting these shoes for so long. And then you get home that night and your feet are killing you, but you look down and you're like, they're still the shoes, right? Like, beauty is pain, whatever. So you keep wearing them, but every time you keep wearing them, the blisters get worse and you're like, I really, really wanted these shoes. I wanted them so bad. Like, why aren't they fulfilling what I've wanted? And you have that moment where you look and you're like, oh, they're half a size too small. Okay. And you know, sometimes you can wear half a size too small and it fits, but this time, for whatever reason, you're like, these lean on the smaller side. So you keep wearing them because they're really cute and they're everything you wanted and you just can't get rid of them. And then eventually you kind of just stop wearing them and you put them in your closet and they sit there and they collect dust. And you look at them and you're like, why weren't you what I wanted? And then finally one day you drop them off at a thrift store and you're like, you want to know what? I'm going to let these go. I'm going to find something that really fits my size. And then you find a pair of Chanel little heels. And you're like, wow, those are really cute. Those weren't on my vision board, but they're actually everything I want. And then you try them on and they're really comfortable. And they actually get more comfortable the longer you wear them. And it's like, oh, okay, well.
So the exact opposite of the YSL Cassandra heel. I'll be doing my research.
This isn't what I've been clenching on to. And I did give them an Blahniks a whirl and like, it was hot, but wasn't for me long term. If something isn't a great fit, it doesn't mean that it's me or the shoe. It's just not for each other, and that there will be another fit that is much better, whether that's dating or a job or a friendship or a skirt, a real skirt or a real pair of Manolo Blahniks. However, I would probably brave the size too small.
Okay, sure. I mean, great, good analogy, I would say. Could have been better, maybe a little bit tighter. But I do understand what she's trying to say here, in that sometimes you might try something out as much as you might want it to work. I think she should have also added in her explanation, as much as you might want something to work, it's just not going to work no matter how much you try to power through it and push through it. It's just, if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And I think what she's trying to connect here is that when you're dating people in friendships as well, she said, right, in life, what you'll realize is sometimes the mistake is identifying someone that you say, hey, I want that person. You then go on to meet that person. Then you say, well, I've already decided that I want you. So now that I'm meeting you, I need you to be like this and like that, because this is the type of guys I like. These are the type of guys I get along with. And this is the type of personality I need you to have if you're going to be my husband. But the problem is that doesn't work that way. You don't meet someone, decide you like them, and then try to make them who the personality that you want in your life to be so that it fits with you and you guys can be in a relationship. You first allow yourself to meet them for who they are, you learn them, and then in the process of learning them, you decide if that is the type of person you want to be with. So there's kind of like an order of operations there, because in her analogy that she mentioned here, when you're, excuse me, I love analogies, so I use them a lot. In the analogy that she mentioned here, right, you wear the shoes And instead of actually, you know, trying them on and figuring out how they fit and ensuring that this is something you can actually wear, you first fall in love with the shoes without thinking about what is the sustainability of this and is this actually going to work for me. But by the time you have the shoes, you're only thinking about how to power through it and force it to work rather than having gone to the store, know what you want, know what you're looking for, and then try things on until you decide what actually will fit you and be comfortable for you. Okay? Right?
When they ask you, what are you looking for? Oh, well, you know, I'm looking for someone that I'm compatible with for marriage. I'm looking to get married. And you can drop it here and there. My friend is married. I love that my friend and her friend, use me as an example. I don't even care if you don't have no friends. Say my friend Mariah, you know, make some shit up and drop the hints. If he's not picking up those hints, well, do you want to marry that? No. When they ask you, what are you looking for?
The other thing I would add to the what are you looking for question is you can say this is perfectly fine to say, but also make sure don't go into any specifics. Okay. I know that when we come into the Players Club, we strategize a lot. So you actually might become really specific with what you're looking for, what you want, what type of guy you want, what type of relationship you want. And that's good. I want you to have your specifics in your own mind. But remember, when we go out into the dating world, it's like a war. So you can't be letting go of very sensitive, valuable information to people who you have no idea what they'll do that with that information. So the reason I say that is because when you go into your dating and talking stages and guys ask you what you're looking for, you're going to be vague. I want you to be vague. Not because I'm trying to get you to be sneaky or secretive, but I don't want guys to come out of a date with you with the information of exactly how to be who you want in a relationship. You might think, but that's a good thing if he wants to make an adjustment for me. He's not making that adjustment for you. He'll be making that adjustment for himself so he can get closer to your heart. That way he can get closer to in between your legs, eventually jackrabbit himself inside of you. Then after he does that, he will reveal his true self, but it'll be too late for you by then. So that's why we don't do that. But you can say, I'm looking to get married. But make sure, just keep being vague, okay? If he keeps digging, because some of the smart men will dig because they want to know how to make it exactly curated for you. Just pretend as if you don't know. This is where you play dumb. Oh, I haven't really thought about it that deeply to really think about exactly what I want or exactly how I want him to be or exactly blah, 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 blah. That way you leave them with nothing that they can go off of to make it seem like they're your perfect man. Okay?
Hi guys, these are some unique ways to break no contact. So this one only works if they don't have like a mom or a dad, and you can make a fake number and text now.
Who sent this to me? We just got started with the video. Let's restart.
Hi guys, these are some unique ways to break no contact. So this one only works if they don't have like a mom or a dad, and you can make a fake number and text now and pretend to be like their mom or dad and say that you want to meet up and like make things right, and then plan a dinner reservation and meet them there. And then you get to text them and see them. So you could go to cop school and become a cop and like show up at their door and pretend that you're looking for like a missing person and you want to check there, and it's part of your job. So like it doesn't look like you're trying to see them. Okay, so this one's a little bit easier. You can like go in their neighborhood and drive back and forth until you run out of gas on the side of the road. You park on the side of the road and then you have to call them because you need gas and like they're the closest one. You could show up at his house in the middle of the night and like make his driveway super dirty and then get a job as a pressure washer, and then whenever he calls to get his driveway pressure washed because it's so dirty now, you show up and you're there for like 3 hours at his house. You could buy truck rims that he really wants and post them on Facebook Marketplace, and then whenever he texts you to like trade rims or whatever, you're gonna show up and trade rims with him. And those are some ways to break no contact with your ex. Hi guys.
You want to know why I'm actually laughing? I'm not laughing for the reason that you think I'm laughing. It's actually a very sick and sadistic reason why I'm laughing. I'm actually laughing because I've actually heard stories of girls going to these type of lengths. Okay, her last one is literally a story that we've read out on our Discord before. about Facebook Marketplace.
Post them on Facebook Marketplace, and then whenever he texts you to like trade, you could buy truck rims that he really wants and post them on Facebook Marketplace, and then whenever he texts you to like trade rims or whatever, you're gonna show up and trade rims with him. And those are some ways to break them.
We've actually had a Facebook Marketplace story on the show. Okay, it wasn't about truck rims, but we've actually had one on the show. So this is honestly, as satire as this sounds, the real sad part and reality is there are people who will go to these links. So jokes always stem from a little bit of truth. Just know that. All right.
Jordy just hit me with the, you're probably talking to other girls. I'm talking to myself. I'm schizophrenic. Leave me and my boy alone. Jordy just hit me with the, you're probably talking to other girls. I'm talking to myself. I'm schizophrenic. Leave me and my boy alone.
This is like prophetic to Gen Z, right? Like I'm starting to get an understanding that like this is, you know how like the silly boomers and things, millennials, they used to watch, I say we, I'm Gen Z. They watched motivational videos on YouTube of like David Goggins and other people, but now Gen Z, this is their motivation video.
And do you think that a man sat under a table at midnight and ate 12 grapes for you? Exactly. And do you think that a man sat under a table at midnight and ate 12 grapes for you?
What? Okay, we're gonna have to start doing this thing where when we watch videos, we do like a research of what is going, because I don't know what this is. I think I've seen that once before, but let's get of the same understanding here. Let me see here. 12 grapes under table. Oh no. Oh, this is what people are doing. Is this what people are actually doing? Oh, I see how TikTok is deluding some of you. This is dangerous. I see how I might have to start fighting against this.
And the rules and things like that on TikTok, let me tell you. So essentially, on New Year's Eve at midnight, if you eat 12 grapes, it's believed that you'll have a great year of fortune, particularly in your love life. And that's just how it goes on TikTok. If you're looking more historically, essentially you would just eat 12 grapes, but you would eat a single grape for each stroke of the clock on New Year's Eve at midnight. And again, you have to do it fast and you have to shove it down, and it would be green grapes. And this is something that's been going for over 100 years. This isn't brand new. It's just been edited on TikTok. Like, I don't know where the under the table thing came from, but again, it's just people's interpretation. I don't think it really affects people's love life.
Okay. I'm not here to poo-poo on anyone's, tradition. This is your thing, that's fine. But if we really want to have you have success in your relationships, let's also, as we do traditions, right? Let's also figure out how we can logistically apply some knowledge upon you and allow you to implement that knowledge in your real life, in your real dating scenarios, so that you can actually be able to attract the men that you're looking for and sift through the garbage men that you'll obviously come across in this life. Because it's easy to just think to you, oh, all the good things are going to come to me and I won't have to work for them. But going about your life with intention of what you want to see, but then also strategizing on how you will get there is how you actually get what you're looking for in life. And when we talk about letting go and letting flow, what they're talking about is controlling the things you can control and everything else you allow to fall into place, not having anxiety or stressing over the things that are outside of your control. But that doesn't mean do nothing with your entire life and never work towards success in any capacity or in any aspect of your life. Okay? I just like to always undo that way of thinking, because sometimes the spirituality and all that other stuff can make you think that like all you have to do is the little spell or the eat the grapes and then the rest will take care of itself, as if that's how it works. It doesn't work like that. You want success? Do the little thing, the little ritual, but then also implement the actions. Okay? I'm here to help you implement the actions so that you can see exactly what to do. I just don't like when people speak in such vagueness that you hear them talk about it and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then 5-10 minutes after you finish listening to them, I'm like, okay, so what are you actually going to implement in your own life? How are you actually going to put that in action? And then you're like, oh, I don't really know. It just sounded nice to hear. What's the point then? That's my own take on things, but whatever. You know, I'm just dumb. Anyways, let's hop into our next segment of the show. For those of you who are in our someone's gonna say it. For those of you who are OG members of the Players Club community, please spam it up in our chat here, because you know what's coming. Those of you who are new here may not know what's coming. Okay, it's a special time. It's an amazing time. It's an awesome time. It's a time where you're gonna laugh and you're gonna cry. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. It's Discord time. Okay, chat, enough silliness. Let's hop right into our Discord time. For those of you who have no idea what's going on, don't worry, I'm going to explain this to you. So Discord time is essentially where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their situationship or their relationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a few ways you can submit your question to me. I'm going to explain all three of them to you right now. The first way is through our free relationship advice forum. In this forum, you can drop in your question. Just make sure you format it how everyone else has been formatting it, and it works on a first come, first serve basis. So the way you're going to drop in your question is by going into the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Go to where it says our Players Club Discord, and then you can drop your question in here for free. Now, I will warn you, in this section here, you can see all of these different highlighted questions. These are questions that I haven't yet gone to because they all say no, because everyone has a question, okay? They'll just put it that way. So there are a lot of questions for me to go through, and it is a first come, first serve forum. So I'll be real with you. You see how I'm still I got to scroll a lot, okay? It's probably going to take me over 2 weeks to get to your question, because now we're deep. Everyone's asking questions on the holidays days. So if you're someone who's impatient because you don't want to wait, this long to get your question answered, because if you ask it today, it's going to take me 2 weeks before I can get to it, then you can hop into our second way to submit your question, which is our premium Discord relationship advice. Now, I'll explain to you how this form works and the only way you're allowed to drop your question in here. This form works because it's a skip the line pass. So you know how I said the free section is first come, first serve queue? Before I read questions in the free section, see, everyone is getting antsy. So because I read questions in the free section, after I read questions in the premium section, those who are impatient, they decide that they just want to pay a premium to be able to get to skip the line, right? It's perfectly fine. You have options. Because I read all of these questions out first in this queue before I go into the free section queue, all right? Now, the only way you're actually allowed to drop your question in here, and I do verify and check this, is by going into where, if you're watching this on TikTok, you go into the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube, click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice, and then it's going to take you to a link there where you donate to the show. And then when you donate to the show, it's also going to prompt you to send in your Discord username and the title of your question. I then receive a notification on my phone, and then I'm able to see that that's you and that's your question. I'm able to verify that your question is supposed to be in our premium section and keep it fair to everyone. That way you're not skipping the line when you haven't actually donated to the show, right? So everyone, it's fair for everyone, okay? So that's how you get in there. Now, for those of you who are wanting to ask me a question, but you don't want your information read out on the show, because obviously this is live here and the show is recorded, you can also send me in a private relationship advice question, which comes here. It's available in our Discord here if you want to click this link here, or that link is also available in my YouTube description or in my TikTok bio. Click where it says private relationship advice, and then you can send in your question as many paragraphs as you want, and I respond to you with a voice message, and it goes through your email. It's usually 8 to 10 minutes long. Okay, so any one of those 3 ways you can send in your question. Let's hop into our first premium one. We got a lot. I think something happened during the holidays, which is why everyone is flooding questions now. Okay, it's probably something along those lines. Okay, we did that one yesterday. Thank you, Missy America, for marking these. This actually makes my life so much easier. All right. All right. So this one, I believe I have not done. Oh boy, this is not going to be good. I can tell these titles are very tragic. Who I thought I was going to spend my life with cheated on me and is now engaged to her. Okay. Buckle up. Smith reads, "Hi, Tomisin. I'm interested to know your thoughts on my recent breakup. I was in a relationship with this guy for a while. A lot of it was long distance." Say that again. A lot of it was long distance. What did I just warn you all of when we were just finishing up the show here? Long distance. But we aimed to make it work. I then, summer last year, found out he was cheating through signs. Isn't that ironic? What I literally just told you all, not saying this to rub it in, but what I just told you all happens a lot with long distance. Not pulling it out of my butt. A lot of times these guys are doing the long distance for the dopamine hit, and then they have a physical relationship with someone else who is close by them. I just have to tell you the truth. First one, he disappeared all night for 12 hours. Right, though I guess this is the first sign you're saying. Didn't answer his phone. Then in the morning, I questioned him. He gaslit me and that I was crazy, X, Y, and Z. I left it alone. Then a couple weeks later, his phone added me to a group call, and he was asleep on the phone to another woman, and the woman proceeded to tell me that they were dating. And that day I called him when he was AWOL, like, so I just mean like, MIA. And she was with him, and he told her I was a crazy ex who keeps calling. Sounds about right. After that incident, I left it alone and walked away. But your message goes on. Our birthdays were approaching 2 weeks later. It's always the birthdays. You guys love to do the reaching out on the birthday, the Christmas, the holiday. We are 4 days apart. He wished me a happy birthday. Okay, so leave it at that. You don't need to wish him anything else. I said thanks and kept it moving. I didn't wish him a happy birthday. I kept no contact for about 2 months, but your question continues. Then he suddenly would reach out occasionally to check in, like I always say, avoid that, and see how I was doing, I didn't respond for the first few messages. Then a month later, I gave in to his persistence. Long story short, we started communicating. It eventually became flirtatious. You see, you know what worries me about when you say flirtatious? You may not actually be implying this, but whenever I hear that and we're talking about long distance, it makes me feel like, oh, now we're dirty talking again, and he's sending me pictures and I'm sending him pictures for him to wank to. That's what it makes me feel like when you say flirtatious. Okay, just a feeling. And he would ask when I can come see him. Probably when he's horned up, right? So if you think about it, his pee-pee is hard because he just seen a picture of your dump truck with your pants at your ankles, right? And now that he's horned up, of course he's going to ask you, when can you come see him? Because he's horned up and he wants to put that inside you. It honestly makes a lot of sense, right? So that's why when you said flirtatious, I'm thinking what you mean is dirty talk, which is why he would be saying this at that time. that he misses me and is still in love. And wait, what? Am I still in love with him? He's asking you this question. Once again, when is the most likely time he's saying this? When he's super horned up. You just send him a couple pictures or videos of your dump truck with your pants at your ankles or your yitties, depending on what he's into, or your whole body. And now he is telling you how much he wants you, of course. I told him I'm not in love with you. During your cheating, you didn't have my back. How do you have someone's back during? Okay. He said he cares about me and all the good rebuttals. He then opened up about personal situations going on with him. Anyways, after a month of occasional communication, I called him and he didn't pick up, but the number called back and it was the girl he cheated on me with, and she answered and she wanted to know why we were still in communication, that he told her we're done and that they're engaged. Let me ask you a question, Smith, because you're probably watching this, right? Do you really believe in your heart of hearts that you were like the main girl? Like, I know that you haven't necessarily specifically stated it, but do you believe in your really heart of hearts that what was going on between you and him, he was cheating on you? Or do you are you coming to your senses a little bit and understanding that you were never his actual girl? You just didn't know about his actual girl, right? And I'm not saying that it doesn't make you a worse or a better person. I'm just saying, do you understand what's actually happening here? This is why I say the long distance stuff is very much of a waste of your time, because the guys, I can guarantee you, if we're talking about, let's just say from an outside perspective, who's considered the main girl and who's considered the side chick, the girl who he's never slept with, never met in person, and only talks to over the phone and is flirtatiously dirty talking with, to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, that would be considered the side chick. And the girl who he's going to get engaged to would be considered the main girl. Now, I'm not saying that this main girl can't be suffering from a little bit of her own delusion, but I'm just saying that because I know in your message, you started off with, this guy is cheating on you. But I mean, were you ever the main girl to even get cheated on? Or were you just the girl he was chit-chatting with at the time while he had a real girl? Just saying, I told her she's delusional, but she can have him if she likes him. Exactly why I asked that question. Because I'm not saying that you're a bad person or you're a dummy or anything like that, but I don't think you're perceiving the situation how it actually is. You are the one who is not the real girlfriend in this scenario. So I get it. You're saying that she can have him, but there's nothing, you're not giving her anything. She's just trying to get rid of you as a side chick that he talks to. But you're not saying, oh, I have your man. If I want him, I'm giving him back to you type of thing. I know you want to feel that power. I'm just telling you that's not how it is. As clearly, a man who is soon to be married should not be communicating with his ex. Once again, I hate to keep pausing, but I have to be clear with you. I don't think you're perceiving this how it actually is. You're not his ex. I know you feel that way because you've been chatting with him so long and so deep for so intensely, but you're not the ex, right? You're literally a girl he chit chats with. You're not the actual woman of his life. I've left the situation alone, but I still feel so hurt that he's someone I thought I'll spend the rest of my life with. Okay, wait, I think maybe I'm missing something here. Chat, did she ever read out that she met him? Maybe I missed a part where she said that. On my recent breakup, I was in a relationship with this guy. While a lot of it was long distance. Okay. So maybe there was a time where you actually met him in person. Right. And you did meet him in person, but majority of it was coming long distance. Okay. So I'll give you that. It's not like, you've never met him at all in real life. I'm assuming based on how you sent that message. Right. I have been so tempted to reach out to his sister. Oh, no, no, no. And mom for the truth. No, 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 no. Don't do that. But then a part of me is like, F it. No, I'm telling you, you're watching this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. You're not going to get any answers that will serve you in any way. Okay? There's no closure here. Like, you're thinking you're going to reach out to the mom and the mom's going to say what to you? Sorry, you were the main girl? Like, what do you expect to hear from her? What do you expect to hear from his? Do you think it's going to make him change? It won't. Like, so understand like what you're doing for your own ego versus what you're doing that will actually do something for yourself and your future. This isn't actually doing anything for you except serving your ego. Because what really is happening, you want to reach out to his mom or his sister so that you can ruin his relationship with that other girl and mess it up that he'll get called out and be embarrassed. Right? I'm not saying that you can't have feelings and emotions and want to do that because you're hurt. But I'm just saying, don't make it seem like you're doing this for some sort of closure. You just want to mess his situation up because you're angry about how you were being treated. But what I also want to tell you is, what is that actually doing for you? Cool. It might make you a little bit happy and serve your ego for a little bit, but you're in the same position you were before. What's the point? I don't ever advise you all to do things that waste your energy away when it doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. Moving on is what actually serves you. Let her deal with his mess. Good. I hope you actually did that. I'm just confused because everything was good. We was with each other during difficult times in our personal lives. I felt I had done and was doing what was necessary for our relationship to work. Maybe it was the occasional distance of living far from each other. But like, if I didn't find out again, he would be still playing me right now and planning on getting married. I don't know if it's a lie, because surely you can get married to someone that quick and off what they barely know each other. You're saying, sorry, because surely you meant to say you can't get married to someone that quick and they don't really know each other. Once again, you're making an assumption. I get it. You're making an assumption based on the information you have. But whenever the logic train stops making sense, my always way of thinking is that you're missing valuable information that will make the logic train make sense. So in this scenario, I think that your assumption is that they haven't known each other for very long and he just made this decision like that. But I think that if you actually had all the information, you would realize that's not the case. And you've been being duped or tricked for a lot longer than you've been thinking. And after her telling me all this, I just stopped communication with him. He hasn't reached out on both occasions. He failed to take accountability and own up to his BS. What do you think went wrong? I can't seem to understand why he did this. Okay, so those of you who love your long distance, let this be a cautionary tale to you. Let me also answer this last part of your question here, or last part of your statement here. You're talking about owning up accountability and owning up to his BS. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean to you when I say this, but the person he is supposed to be accountable to is his wife. Or the woman that's soon to be his wife, that is now about to become his fiance. That's the person he's actually being accountable to, because when she finds out about something going on, he makes sure he ends it because he wants to keep her happy. That's the person he's actually getting engaged to. So that's the person he's actually trying to be accountable to, albeit he's kind of messing it up. And obviously he's being, sneaky and not doing the right thing. But I'm saying this to say you're expecting him to give you some sort of closure and be accountable to you as if you're the person he even cares about being accountable to. And I'm not saying that to be mean to you. I'm just saying that because I think that your perspective is skewed of what you expect from him versus what the relationship actually is. I don't think that you are at all the main girl, which is exactly why you're confused why he doesn't seem to treat you like the main girl. Are you following me? Now, I know that you were of the impression that this was a real relationship and everything was working together for your good and you were going to get married to him and all that good stuff, but this is the danger of long distance. A lot of men will do this, having you think that, yeah, we're working together for something or whatever. I'm going to tell you the truth. For the men who are actually serious about long distance, when they really actually are serious about it, the number one, listen to me, the number one thing on any man's mind who is long distance with you will always and forever be how he can close that distance off and see you more. So with every fiber of his being, he will always be figuring out whether he has to do that weeks or months in advance on how he's going to see you again. And that will be on the front of his mind all the time, is getting to the next time he's going to be able to spend real in-person time with you. Always, that will be on the front of his mind. If this is a real long distance relationship, okay? Because guys can't stomach being committed to a girl or being with a girl that they like and they or even have love for, and they're not actually physically with her. They don't operate or work like that. They can't build emotions off of that. It doesn't work for them. So whenever guys are laid back in the long distance and it doesn't really matter to them when they see you again, or it's not important to them to actually make an effort to him just getting horned up and sending you a message after you send him dirty pictures or have some dirty talk with him and say, "Oh, come see me." That's not actually trying to see you. Okay. I'm talking about guys who are like, "Yo, tell me in the next 3 months, when do you have a week off that we can plan a day to see? In the next 6 months, I want to see you 6 months from now. So let's plan our week out that I'm going to come see you in 6 months and we're going to spend some time together." Like, you will be shocked at how intentional these type of guys will be if the long distance is actually serious. The other thing in correlation to that is, in a long distance relationship, not only will guys really want to see you in person, they will also be looking on how they can eventually put an end to the distance for good. Meaning there should be some sort of like outcome or goal of, hey, I'm going to work towards, finding a job in your city. Or, we're working towards finding a job in the same city so we can be together. Oh, I'm going to start going to school here, or I'm going to start doing this, right? There's some path forward to you guys being able to be together again, and the distance is only temporary. But whenever guys aren't talking to you about closing the distance for good, and then also logistically being together on more occasions, it's always because they're exploring other relationships. So they're satisfied and satiated with just having you at a distance. Guys who actually want you and want to be with you, they're obsessed with closing the distance, not just allowing it to exist and being like, "Yeah, I'm horned up, come see me," and they bust a nut and it's not a big deal anymore. That's not how it works, right? Dom says, my ex-husband would travel from LA to London every 3 months for 2 weeks. Prime example. When it's long distance and guys really, are serious about it, they're upset. They will do anything. And I'm not talking about they'll talk about anything. They'll actually do anything, even if it's irrational and it makes no sense and it costs exorbitant amounts of money to see you in real life. They're not just going to sit there, "Oh yeah, I like talking to you on the phone forever." The guys don't like that. I don't know where you guys heard that or thought that. Guys don't enjoy that, just casually talking on the phone with the girl they actually like, right? They want to see you for real and touch your body and feel you in person. We don't operate like that. We don't work like that with girls that we like, okay? ED ruined dating for me 30 plus. Are all our questions tragic today? Okay, let's see how we're gonna do this here. Let me see if I can I even, okay, whatever. ED ruined dating for me. Hello, your name is Moonshade. I am a divorced mom, 34, and I've been seeing a man who's 31. Things started off really well, even though we met on Tinder. In the beginning, he only messaged me to arrange the date. And when we went on a date, he took me to a great restaurant and I was wined and dined. At the end of the date, I got my cell phone number. You mean you gave him your cell phone number and gave him a little peck. Okay, so good so far. I always know when the next date is going to be. He organizes everything. And I don't really have to lift a finger. This is great so far. He sends me a message every day, but he always messages first. He got me on one of those air wrap heartless curl machines. What? You mean he got you one of those air wrap heatless curl machines for Christmas? Oh, for your hair. Sorry. Just my mind was going somewhere else. And he talked to me about wanting to take me on a vacation for months. The Dyson. Okay, well, you guys are so smart. I had no idea what he was talking about. Also, he owns a house, which I think. Oh wait, so you must be light skinned because I know that machine that you're talking about, and you're light skinned. I just know. I know. Or you have curly hair, maybe Latino. Also, he owns a house, which I think is impressive. He has a nice job in finance and has a trust fund. So I feel pretty secure with him financially. His future looks pretty bright. He is finishing up his MBA and is set to make even more. At around 6 to 8 weeks, I let him come back to my place. Things were going well until we went to the bathroom. I learned at that point he has ED. Okay, sorry, chat. I know some of you different parts of the world, so this doesn't make sense to you. ED stands for erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction just means that when your pee-pee is, you're excited and you're happy and you're ready to go and you're ready to penetrate a woman, your pee-pee is supposed to be like this. With ED, your pee-pee's like this. No matter how hard you try, it don't work, right? When he couldn't keep it up long enough to have pineapples, okay? He let me know he suffers from ED. After digging, I learned that he goes through this so regularly and he is very aware of it. I also think ED can lead to premature ejaculation. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have ED, so I'm not like well versed in the ED landscape, but I'm also pretty sure that that can also be like a side effect of ED as well. All right. You guys can let me know if you've dealt with a man who has that. After digging, I learned from the situation that he deals with this so regularly. He is very aware of it. Same. I don't like the manner in which I discovered his ED. I wish he would have given me a heads up. Is that supposed to be a pun? I didn't like that he repeated the same mistake the second time we tried to have pineapples. Wait, what do you mean repeated the same mistake? Like once he tells you about the ED the first time, didn't he tell you? I don't understand what mistake did he repeat. We did over an hour of foreplay and then he wasn't able to have pineapples. As a result, he wanted to watch TV. He could have helped me take care of my needs. So like go down on you. That's what you mean. Like, you know, do something. You basically what you're saying is that man could at least be useful. He could at least make himself useful and use his damn tongue to get you off. That's what you're saying. Just be honest, okay? He also told me that the ED is my fault for being too tight. Okay. Let me take a break because I don't want to laugh at another man's struggles and another man's ED, but it just kind of, why would he tell you that? Girl, why would he tell you that? You know that's a lie. I know that's a lie. We're all adults here. Let me take a stretch, chat. Yeah, you funny. You funny, girl. You funny. He told you. These men are funny. They come up with anything, huh? How did they come up with this? They must be running a class. How did they think on the spot like this with excuses like this? Well, if you think about it, actually, if he's been suffering from ED for so long, don't mind me, Chan. I'm just stretching. It's to realign my chakras whenever we have messages like this. If you think about this, it makes sense actually because he's probably had a lot of time to think about this type of excuse because he's obviously, had this happen to him a lot. So him suffering from ED, you being too tight, it's a nice excuse that he can, blame it on you. It's your fault, right? You and your whatever. At that point, I told him, hey, it's getting late. You should go home. You did not. Wow. You know what? It's funny. I'm reading your message. You're not here with me, but I can feel like the frustration and the anger that was going on, like just in your mind, because you were horned up, right? You said an hour of foreplay, so much blood flow. to your lower extremities, right? You're throbbing there's a heartbeat between your legs. And at this point, he can't get it up. The frustration in your mind, you probably wanted to slap him. Okay, you wanted to slap him and then go F one of his friends in front of him because you were so horned up and so frustratedly horned up that you just couldn't take it anymore, that you were just peed off. I know the way you're sending the message. I can feel it through the screen here. He brought over dinner this time and he took the sushi with him. You add he took his sushi back after he brought. Oh boy, this is you all never cease to amaze me in Discord time. This is funny. Now he doesn't want to see me again until his Viagra pill is working. So I haven't seen him in over a week. I have ghosted him. I'm afraid, though, of going through this again. How do I manage this in dating? Okay. Quite a story here. A couple of things here. One, honestly, I think that for you and your needs, it was probably just best to ghost him. Now, okay, let me provide you with a little bit of perspective just so you can understand where he's coming from. It's not to justify what he did, but just so you have a little bit more understanding. See, a guy that's suffering from ED like this, he knows he has ED, and he knows it's a struggle for him. So obviously, it's not the first time that he's experienced this type of situation. Guys, what I found with guys that have ED and hearing it from other women and their experiences with them, two things usually happen. Guys with ED or guys with micro PPs, all right, because some guys will have what's classified as a micro PP. Either they're really upfront about it from the very get-go because they know that that time is coming, or they like to kind of like put it off for as long as possible to the point where it becomes like this embarrassing moment of realization by the woman that either he has a micro PP or he has ED. So I've only really seen it done one of those two ways, where it's either extremely early, they tell them and they just say it right from the beginning and then they go ham with their tongue afterwards, or they wait until the very last minute end and they try and avoid it up until it's unavoidable anymore. Okay. But either way, I get it. It's not their fault. And I'm not saying that this guy's a bad person for having ED, but you just have to decide for yourself what you're prepared or willing to deal with. And if you know that sex is such an important part of the relationship for you that you can't imagine being with the guy, even if he can eat you, let's be graphic here, eat you out crazy, then you have to make that decision for yourself and your own happiness. Doesn't make you a bad person because you want a guy who can penetrate you and make you feel that nice, feel that deeply. If that's what you want and that's what makes you happy, then that's fine. And you don't have to apologize for that. Now, how do you avoid that? Really and truly, having conversations is very important. Also, feeling out vibes is very important. I'll never say just jump right into, sex or pineapples, but it's good to like, as time is going on, have discussions about pineapples, not from the standpoint of, oh, let's dirty talk. Oh, do you want to penetrate me? You want to get inside me? Like, that's not the type of thing I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about it as like the experience. What have your experiences been with your exes? What are some of the things you've tried or been open to trying or wanted to try, right? I'm not saying that this conversation has to happen on the very first date, and it shouldn't. But as time goes on, part of you getting to know him is understanding, what is his vibe intimacy-wise. Doesn't mean you guys have to do it right then and there, but it'll also give you a little bit of a peephole into like who he is. A guy with ED, he's not really going to have many stories of experience because most of the time he's limp, so it's not really going to work, him penetrating a woman, but you'll kind of get that sense in the way that guys with ED will kind of be very nervous to talk about the intimacy part of a relationship because they feel like that might come soon. And when they know that that's something they're trying to avoid, you'll hear them or see them get very uncomfortable when talking about just even overall experiencing. So asking questions in that sense is another way to kind of spot that. Now, some guys who want to hide their ED, they'll hide it and they'll wait till the very last moment. At which point, then you just have to decide for yourself, look, you know what? I'm making a decision for me, and I don't want to deal with a guy who has ED. Now, I don't know what percentage of the population has ED, chat. I'm just uninformed about this. I really don't know. Obviously, it's not really that relevant to me in my life, but I'm not sure. Tell me in the chat of, let's say 10 men, right? What percentage of men would you say that you've encountered have ED or a micro PP that makes, sex with them basically impossible? Tell me in the chat because I don't know the numbers and I don't know how common or uncommon it is that you would actually have to be worried about it, okay? I see some people say 0, some people say 20, someone says 25%, 5% for me, 0 for me, 80%, Mary says, okay, actually 1, 20%. I only date black, so 0. 0, 0. I see a lot of zeros. So the reason I'm asking this is because I don't think that okay. Moonshade, I know that this was a traumatic situation for you, but I'm getting the sense based on what women are saying in the chat, this isn't as common as you think. Meaning that if you were to date 10 guys, the chances of you meeting a guy with like a micro PP or like severe erectile dysfunction to the point where it's impossible to actually sleep with him is less likely than likely. In which case, I don't think you have so much to worry about in the sense of, oh my God, am I talking to a guy who has ED that won't be able to sleep with me? It's probably less likely than it is likely, especially at your age. You're 34. So most guys your age won't be necessarily suffering from in their 30s something that severe. If you were dating guys in their 60s or 70s, maybe, but I don't think that you'll be encountering that as much as you're anticipating, even though I know that this was really traumatic for you. Tracy now says black men have the same issues. I was wondering because someone said I date black men, so 0. So I was like, okay, I guess those are the vibe. I don't know how common it is for black men to have ED. So I really I don't know. But I do know that, it is a thing that happens and I get it. It's frustrating for you. Also, the thing that I've heard about men with ED or micro PPs is they get really, really good at eating you out. I'll just be graphic, right? They get really good at that because they know that they're not bringing much to the table that way. And, they have to kind of compensate that way. So maybe if you enjoy being eaten out so much, you could be with the guy with ED because you're enjoying yourself that much, which is also possible. I've seen people do that. Not seen them, heard of it, right? All right, let's go on to our next question here. Haircut by Vicky. Okay, interesting. Before I ask my question, I want to tell all the ladies a tip that I do to refrain from answering or replying to past F-boys. I renamed his contact in my phone as Tomisin. So now, every time he reaches out, I hear Tommy's voice. Ha, ha. Is it? Okay, we'll pretend like that paragraph doesn't exist. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Anyways, on to my question. I recently started seeing a kind of generous guy. Has a lot of qualities I want in a man, except he has a terribly weird hairstyle. You guys never cease to amaze me. How can I say it in a nice way that he should change his haircut? Can you show... Vicky, I wish you could show us a picture of his hairstyle. I mean, it's really bad. and he would totally improve with a simple, decent haircut / new style. Please give me some tips. Also, another thing I found, some guys I have gone on dates with, is I can sometimes smell their breath. And it's not totally fresh. Yes, even from a distance. I have a sharp sense of smell. When this happens in the future, how could I also mention that in a polite way? Vicky, thank you for your question. Okay, in all seriousness, let me answer this for you. This honestly depends on the guy and his hairstyle. It's gonna sound weird. Some guys are more attached to their hair than others. So for example, if a guy has dreadlocks, and maybe he has freeform dreads. For those of you who don't know what freeform dreads is, it's just like if you've ever seen, so like Lil Wayne's dreads as they are right now, if you type in a picture of Lil Wayne, like right now, 2025, how he looks, his dreads look crazy. Some of them are big, some of them are small. They just look all over the place, right? It almost has that matted look. Freeform dreads are also what The Weeknd used to have before he cut his hair. He's got a cleaner look now. When he was, doing his dark R&B, all those dreads that look like branches, those are freeform dreads. So I say that to say some guys with that type of look, right? The dreadlock look, the freeform dreads, they become really attached to their hair. And so the idea of them cutting it off is not like a small thing. Okay, meaning it's not like you're just going to be able to say, oh, I think you would look better with a haircut, and they're just going to cut it off. Like this, whatever their look is, they got the branches going on and it's crazy. They've probably been growing that for years. All right. We're talking like 3 to sometimes 4 years. So I'm just saying that to help you understand those men are so attached to their hair. The idea of them cutting it off is just it's like a non-starter. Like you're not, unless they are, the only time I've seen men with that type of hairstyle or dreads for that long cut their hair off is if they go through some sort of like dramatic realization or some sort of tragic situation where they want like a fresh start. And that fresh start is cutting off their hair and shedding that skin and becoming a new person. So I say that to say the only way you're going to get, if he's one of those guys that's attached to his hair like that, the only way he's going to actually change his hairstyle is if he goes through something traumatic and he needs to shed that skin. And that you're not really going to convince him or talk him out of it any other way. So the idea that you're dating a guy that you're thinking, oh my God, I can't wait till he cuts that hair. You're just dreaming. You're living in a dreamland, and you'll just be more frustrated trying to get him to cut the hair rather than just realizing he'll cut it when he feels like cutting it. And if I don't like it that much, I'm better off just dating a man who doesn't have his hair that way. The reason I say that is because it'll just be a point of contention for you. You want him to do his hair a particular way, and he doesn't want to do that, but it's his hair. So what are you going to do? You're not his mother. You're not, you know what I mean? Like he can do whatever he wants with his hair. So at the end of the day, no matter how much you hate his haircut, no matter how much better you think he would look with a different haircut, how much smoother and sexier and all that good stuff, if he decides he doesn't want to cut his hair, you're just always going to be upset, in which case you're just wasting your time then, because you're upset and then he doesn't like you because you're always complaining about his hair, which he doesn't want to change, and no one's happy. Right? Excuse me. The second part of your message when it comes to I'll be real with you. Someone who you're just going out on a date with, this is something, someone said this superficial. It's not, because breath is important. And if someone's breath stinks so much that you can't bear it, you're supposed to kiss that person, right? You're supposed to tongue kiss that person. You're going to be tasting it in your mouth. So breath, don't be thinking that's not no superficial thing. If a guy's breath smells so bad that you're really like turned off and you're dry, I'm not saying don't help someone out by letting them know, but there comes up, it's a little bit of a side note. There's supposed to be a point in your life as a man where you're like in middle school, right? Maybe a little bit before high school, where one of your boys has that conversation with you or disses you like, oh, bro, you stink. You musty. Okay? You musty, bro. You smell nasty. And then at that point as a boy, you realize, oh, I got to use deodorant. Like, I'm really smelling up a joint here to the point where I'm getting joned on. People are making fun of me because I'm musty, right? It's the same thing with your breath, okay? Whether it be a girl that makes fun of you in middle school or it be a guy that makes fun of you in middle school because of your breath. And then you realize, oh, I got to brush my teeth, okay? And so that is supposed to be your like realization moment where as a boy, you turn into a man and you realize you got to take care of these things. If he grows up into a man and he hasn't yet realized that, then unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, he probably hasn't built the building blocks to even be able to have fresh breath. Okay. It's going to sound very weird, but having fresh breath is not about just using a breath mint. It's not even just about brushing your teeth. It's about understanding how to have good dental hygiene. Okay. If your teeth are crooked, you actually are going to have, bad breath because you can't properly clean your teeth. If you don't scrub your tongue, like use a tongue scrubber, you're going to have bad breath. All of these things, though, you learn in learning how to have better dental hygiene. So if he doesn't understand how to have better dental hygiene, you just telling him his breath smells is not actually going to solve the issue, because he might use some 5 gum or Trident gum around you, but you're still going to smell the mustiness from his breath, regardless of whether he uses gum or not. So that's not going to save him unless he understands how to actually have better dental hygiene, in which case you're kind of facing an issue that's more of like a personality thing than it is, or like a discovery thing that he has to make a real change, rather than something where it's just like, oh, brush your teeth harder or something like that. That's why I say that. So I think both of these things, while they're preferences that are very valid, and I'm not saying you're a bad person for noticing these things or wanting those things to be different, I think you're just looking for someone who is different, right? Rather than, oh, I like this guy but his hair. I like this guy but his breath. I think you should be thinking to yourself, my preference of guy is someone who's clean cut and someone whose breath smells good. And then from there, you go and you meet guys, and you only go on multiple dates with guys who meet that criteria, rather than meeting them, liking them, and then saying, oh, I like you, but this, but that. Just have them fit your criteria and only date those guys, right? All right, let's go on to our next question here. We'll do all of the premium ones today. Dream manifester, cause for concern. I've been dating a guy for 6 weeks now. He initiates texts daily and plans weekly dates, and we are planning to move into the seeing each other twice a week territory, okay? When we are together, I ask questions and let him do most of the talking. That's great. The conversation flows well, but he doesn't ask too many questions, if any, about me. Excuse me. I know he's paying attention to the things I say because he will bring them up or reference them in conversation. Should I be concerned that I'm asking all the questions and he is not asking questions to get to know me on a deeper level? Also, my birthday is in less than 3 weeks, and I have mentioned that it is coming up, but he hasn't asked when it is. Wait, what? I don't have any expectations of him since we just started dating, but I wanted to include him in my plans and introduce him to my friends. I'm kind of feeling like I don't want to include him now since he hasn't even asked when it is. Is that weird he hasn't asked, or am I tripping? That is strange that he hasn't asked you the date of your birthday. If you've mentioned that it's coming up, I'm wondering how that could even be possible, because the most easiest natural question for someone when you say, oh, my birthday's coming up soon, is when, and then you would say the date. That's very strange. I don't know why you wouldn't talk about that. To preface this next part, his job requires him to relocate frequently. This is not a long distance situation. He is local. I've noticed when he shares stories about his past, most of them begin with when I was dating this one woman. So then your next question would be who? Was it your most recent ex? What was her name? Because it could be a different woman or the same woman. He never speaks negatively about them. It's just him telling me stories about his past. He has mentioned that he is looking for something long term and that he just hasn't found anything sustainable. So have you asked him why he feels they were unsustainable? That would be a great understanding of what he's looking for here. Maybe the frequent relocation is contributing to this. I don't know. Mike, so why don't you know the answer to this question? You're talking about all the questions you ask him. You should know the answer to this question, meaning that you should be digging deeper. Like, so when he says he doesn't think that his other relationships have been sustainable, ask him, what about those relationships? So tell me specifically, with your ex, what your most recent one, what made it unsustainable to you? What part of it that you were doing or she was doing was making the relationship unsustainable? Like, ask him a direct question and then sit and wait for him to think, however long it takes him to think, what was making it unsustainable? Because then that answer is going to tell you a lot about how well your relationship may or may not go. If he tells you it was unsustainable because I travel a lot and I relocate a lot and it was making our relationship struggle, well, he's still working that same job where he has to relocate a lot. So how is that supposed to be different here? That could give you a clue that you might end up in the same graveyard as all the other women. So that's very, very important for you to understand here, that you should get that answer in detail, a lot of detail. My concern is that because I feel like he's not trying to get to know me on a deeper level, and he's sharing many of his dating and his sharing of many dating stories that he may be more of a serial dater or have commitment issues. Am I just being insecure? I don't think you're just being insecure, because when you compound all of these things on top of each other, it becomes a very strange scenario that's making me feel like his understanding of his own job is probably making him go about this a little bit non-committal, meaning he's just knowing that at some point the distance is going to become an issue, and the fact I have to relocate all the time is going to become an issue. So I like your vibe and I like the time we're spending with each other, but I don't anticipate we're actually going to grow into a real relationship because of the relocation and because of how it makes all my other relationships unsustainable, right? Like I talked about you guys before, career and job matters, not necessarily just because of the money he's making, but how realistic is it for you guys to have a sustainable relationship with the job that he has? If he has a job where he's going to be all over the country 7 days a week, that is not conducive to building a healthy, long-term, sustainable relationship. And nothing against a guy who has that lifestyle, but if that's his lifestyle, it's going to be very difficult for you to build anything healthy with this guy. Everything is going to be coming on the whim, and you're never going to be able to build a routine with him or an understanding with him. And so what I would say to this is, if he hasn't asked you about your birthday, don't mention it, okay? Don't introduce him to your friends. Just go about this how you've been going about this, right? And let's see how serious he becomes with you, or if he continues to be intentional with you. I know that you're having fun talking to him and chatting with him, but continue to ask him questions as you've been doing and see what his answers are. Because the worst thing you can do here is get so concerned that he's not asking you questions that you forget that you should be extracting information, and that's the only way you're going to get answers. So one of the main questions you should be asking him and thinking about asking him when you next see him is, what made his last relationships unsustainable, right? And specific, like ask him to give you specific examples of why those relationships were unsustainable with those women. Like tell you exactly what happened and how it happened and how it turned into a situation where it became unsustainable. That understanding will help you know if this is even going to work out with him. And I don't think at this point you need to introduce him to your friends, especially if all of this is going on and he has this relocating job. These guys with the jobs that relocate frequently, what they like to do is they like to go and get them a different girlfriend in every city that they go to. So let's say, for example, he has his job consists of traveling to New York, Miami, and LA. These type of guys, they like to have a girlfriend in New York, a girlfriend in Miami, and then a girlfriend in LA. All of whom they keep just happy enough that they can see her the next time they're in the city. But there's never so much commitment that any of them expect, that this will be long-term or super serious. That's what the relocation guys enjoy doing. Okay. So my fear is that he's just setting you up to be that when he's in this city, you guys have fun, enjoy each other. There's an understanding. And then when he goes to his other city, it's all good. You're not really too worried about what he's doing over there. Okay. So get those answers, please. Let's hop into our next question. That's the show for today. Thank you all so much. I think we had a really long show today. I think today was like 3 hours. Definitely 3 hours. Damn, we almost going on 4 hours. This is crazy. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me on today's show. Oh, by the way, let's acknowledge some of the donations that we had today. Electrofield donated $10 to be crystal clear. You're advising oral and digital stim. What is digital stim? Before commitment. Well, so here's the thing. In our sex timeline, the easiest thing for me to say would be, hey, just have him be your boyfriend first, right? And of course, in a perfect world, I would advise all of you to do that. The purpose of today's show in the commitment and sex timeline, for any of you that were confused, is I wanted to set a precedent that would allow you to have some understanding of what you should be doing at each point in the timeline without just, oh, I should be his boyfriend, I should be his girlfriend at this point before I do anything. Because I know with that amount of vagueness, some of you will do a lot of things wrong. You'll do things this way or that way, and there will be so much more confusion because it's so vague. Oh yeah, let's just wait till I'm his girlfriend. Then you'll say, but he said I can't be his girlfriend because of this reason or that reason. So maybe this is a different situation, and then I'll just go about it differently, and then everything just goes to poop. So the purpose of this show is to give you all a comprehensive timeline that will work whether you're thinking about, hey, he should be my boyfriend at this point or not. And whether you're religious or not, obviously you can adjust the timeline based on what works better for you or what makes more sense for you. But I wanted to give you all a timeline that can work in any scenario. Okay, right? Because boyfriend is great, but I also want you not just focusing on, is he my boyfriend? And then let's say, for example, a guy makes you his boyfriend in the first week. And you've heard me say, just wait till you're his girlfriend, or makes you his girlfriend in the first week. Then if you're his girlfriend in the first week, and I've been telling you, wait till you're his girlfriend, and you're like, oh, I'm his girlfriend in the first week. Now you're going to be thinking, oh, it's free for all now. I'll do whatever. But all of the things that were so important to learn about this guy, you still haven't learned. So it defeats the purpose of getting the information and having the deeper understanding, right? JNT donates $5, says, would this advice and timelines differ for women 35 and up? I don't necessarily think it should be that different, simply because, in fact, I would say to this that if anything, the only thing that would be different for your timeline is the quickness to which guys might introduce you to friends and family, or, progress this forward. Because the guys who are older should be even more intentional, meaning that if he's over 35, he should know way more what he wants, way more what he's looking for. And as he's dating you, it should be way more clear to him from the very beginning that it's either going to work out with you because of the way you are, or it's not. So those guys, if they know early on that it's going to work out because you're the type of person they're looking for, they'll be more committed to you and they'll progress the relationship faster. So the only thing on your part would be pacing the sex part. You understand what I'm saying? But for the men who are on the younger side, it might take a little bit more time to progress the relationship forward because they're less intentional, just overall. Okay, right? So I hope that makes sense to all of you beautiful people in the chat. All right. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. And you can follow me there, Tomisin_Atub. For those of you who are watching me on YouTube, you can follow me on my Instagram by going into my description and finding my link to my Instagram there as well. All right. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show from start to finish, because you missed parts of it or you came late, it's just my name, Tomisin Atobatele, on the top right corner of the screen. You can just type in my first name, Tomisin, and then you can go into my YouTube channel and go into the live section. You'll see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. You'll see the YouTube chat and the TikTok chat embedded in the video so that you won't miss a second of conversation there, okay? Also, for those of you, we're getting very close to this very pivotal day. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you enjoy watching me there, and you have not yet subscribed to me on YouTube, and you're not yet in our Discord, please join that as soon as humanly possible. You will make the mistake, if you make the mistake of not joining our Discord and not joining our, subscribing to me on YouTube, And when TikTok gets banned in the USA on the 19th, you might not have any access to my page anymore because I don't know what the ban is going to look like. It might just vanish from your phone. And if that's the case, you want to make sure you still have access to my show and know where to find me, that you're not able to not watch me, anymore because you're not able to access TikTok. So make sure that you do that. If you're someone who enjoys watching me on TikTok, you're subscribed to me on YouTube and in our Discord. All right. Okay. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to be here again tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. For those of you who are wanting to join me live again, until we meet again tomorrow, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, bon, adios, ciao, salam. Did I say all of them? Ciao, salam, arrivederci, adios. Bon voyage! And I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Someone said I should say bye in Yoruba. What is bye in Yoruba? Baoni. I should add that one. I'm Yoruba. I should definitely add that one. That was so smart, right? I'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you. I love you so much.